Let's move on.
Impact. Sting came out.
Stink
came out. He called out Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy is standing there with half his face painted in makeup. And yet, to my eye, Sting looked much weirder in his fancy-ass buttoned-up shirt with gloves.
I wrote that same goddamn thing.
Jeff looks like a normal human compared to Sting wearing gloves for no reason.
He was wearing dress pants, a dress shirt, and the gloves.
Yes.
Yeah, it was weird.
It is weird. So Sting's statement here to Jeff was that Sting himself had to deal with his own demons and his own bad choices, but he had been given a second chance, and he wanted to give Hardy a second chance, and he gave him his full endorsement. Everyone cheered. At this point, Robert Roode, Kurt Angle, and Bully Ray interrupted. Roode wanted to know how you could endorse this embarrassment and not me. I'm your champion. What about Bully Ray? You can endorse him. And Bully Ray came in, and he went to show off his calves. And Roode said, look at his calves like this is a big joke. Meanwhile, Bully Ray stands there. He pulls up his shorts and begins to flex his legs. Bully Ray's thighs are enormous.
And his calves.
And his calves. This man is getting put together. Is he in Team Viggity?
I don't think so.
Pity.
Still too fat.
Well, he's
not walking around without his shirt on yet.
That is true. He's making tremendous progress. So eventually they ran their mouths. Storm and Abyss came out together. Why? I don't know. Storm ripped on Kurt Angle for beating up his friends. They started drinking beer. Then Abyss was talking. Eventually, all these guys are in the ring. So Sting said, let's do a match. And he booked, this is exactly what he said, you versus you, and you.
Yeah.
And that was that.
I thought this segment was great. I thought everybody on the mic was awesome, with no exceptions, including Sting's gloves. You, and you against you, and you. Great!
It was kind of wacky how James Storm and Abyss were just randomly hanging out together backstage. Conveniently hanging out together before their tag match was booked. So, next thing you know, they're filling up the entire screen basically was an ass in a bikini. Turned out to be Madison Rayne. She was just hanging out in a bikini being hot. Gil was filming her. Don't know why. They were at a pool. They were appalled that Tracy Brooks was in the pool.
This was great heel stuff right here. Because you see, Tracy's in the pool, and Madison and Gale go up and they say, so this is how you're training for your tag team championship match tonight, sitting in a pool? And meanwhile, of course, they were also there at the pool in their bikinis.
Yes.
Great heels.
So, Madison climbs in the pool. She proceeds to splash Tracy with water.
Evil.
Tracy responds by resorting to physical violence. She attacks Madison, exposing most of her ass in the process. Gale sets down the camera, conveniently still pointing at the pool. She jumps in the water to make the save. The two heels then attempt to drown Tracy Brooks and kill her.
This is why I hate water to this day.
Because women in bikinis try to drown you?
Well, actually, yes. Not quite women.
Explain.
Well, I was like 5 years old, and I was at the public pool in Blackfoot, Idaho, and these two girls in the pool tried to put my head underwater. I thought I was drowning. And meanwhile, my mom's right there, and apparently my face was underwater for like 1 second. But it was horrifying to me, and ever since then, I've hated
girls.
Water on my face.
Oh.
Or any liquid.
So yes,
nothing like an uncomfortable pause on this show.
That was awkward. So they're trying to, like I say, murder Tracy Brooks when in to make the save.
Cannonballs.
And she came in like a superhero. Mickie James comes running in, also in a bikini. And she comes in and she does this big, giant leap into the pool. And this leap was so dramatic and so heroic that the heels had no choice but to flee for safety.
Yeah.
The only way this could have been better is if she had, like, swung in on a rope.
You know,
This is a hell of an entrance.
I was just, it is one of those things that's just like, if this were real, where in God's name was Mickey? Was she also there hanging out? Because if so, why didn't the heels film her when they walked into the swimming pool? Because we followed Madison's ass all the way over till she got into the pool, and I didn't see nobody else there.
No?
So apparently there is like a Mickey signal where when trouble involving water occurs, she flies in out of nowhere.
I hadn't thought of it that way, but it makes some sense.
Yeah. This was an awesome segment.
So, yes, the heels bailed. Mickey confirmed that Tracy was not, in fact, drowned.
Thank God.
Mike Tenay viewed all this attack and said, quote, tension between the two teams.
That's what he said. That was his words.
Phenomenal understatement here. So, this is a great segment with hot women in skimpy bikinis and a pool.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, this was such a gratuitous way to just get some flesh on TV. It was overcast. I realize it's Orlando, but it's still January. And we're still out by the pool.
Yeah.
I lolled. So they had the match. Tracy and Mickey versus Gail and Madison. It was a decent little TV tag match. And eventually, Gail pinned Tracy with her Eat Defeat. And that's about it.
That is about it.
All right. Flair was telling Gunner backstage that he was an Impact player and a man-child.
What does that mean?
If it came from anyone else, it would make no sense, but it's Ric Flair.
He's a man-child?
Usually you say that
so he's
about...
got the IQ of an 8-year-old, but in a man's body? What a compliment.
Usually when you call someone a man-child, it's because they are very large and scary for their age. Like if you had a 16-year-old who was 6'6" and 320, man-child. How it applies to Gunner, I don't know.
It's astonishing.
He's a former military man, clearly an adult. Maybe he likes cartoons and toys. That's why he's a man-child. So
the more I think about this, the funnier it is.
So Ric Flair tells him he's going to be a star because everyone who wrestles him gets injured. He tells them their plan is that he's going to keep injuring people until everyone's afraid to wrestle him. Then they can forget about working. They can go to the bar and just get paid. You are that famous, he declared. If any of you haven't guessed, Ric Flair's the best man ever.
He's pretty great. Man-child.
Sting arrived. He explained that every time Gunner wrestled, Ric Flair helped him pound someone's face into the cement. And so
really, I could have sworn like a couple of weeks ago they did that whole gimmick where Gunner vowed to go out by himself and then proceeded to do so.
Yes, you are correct. And he pounded someone's face into the cement on his own.
Because he's a man-child.
So Sting...
Speaking of, if they made a Gunner man-child shirt, I would buy one. I wouldn't wear it, but I would buy it to support the gimmick.
Gunner Man-Child sounds like the bass player of the worst band ever.
That's his last name.
Maybe it is.
I had not thought of that.
That he's a man-child of the fighting man-childs.
Gunner Man-Child.
All right.
He better trademark this quick.
So Sting arrived. He explained that he was going to keep Ric Flair backstage so that Flair would watch the match with him. And I'm very, very, very sad we did not actually get to watch Ric Flair and Sting watching Gunner and Rob Van Dam wrestle. God, that would have been awesome.
It would have been pretty good.
Just fucking great. So Sting says this, and he leaves. And Ric Flair is furious, and all he can do is mutter Sting's name. Thing. And Sting says, yes. And Flair says, nothing. And Sting leaves, and Flair turns to Gunner and just says, kill him! This segment was like a $10,000 segment. This was just perfect.
That's how much you're going to make Sunday, by the way. Actually, I was going to make a joke, but then I realized they ain't even going to make $10,000.
No. So, this was awesome. Though.
Nor 10,000 buys.
All right, I got a question. Seriously. I don't want to argue this. I just want to know. Does anyone listening to me right now think that Eric Young is funny. I find it impossible. I just want to know. I won't argue you. I will not belittle you. I will not debate you. I will not shame you. I just want to know. Are there people out there who think Eric Young is funny?
The answer to the question, Vinny, is there are people out there who pay so little attention to impact, and it plays in the background, and they don't have to take notes, and they can play on their computer and on their Facebook, and they can tolerate Eric Young, and they get a chuckle here and there.
I see.
These people exist.
All right. That satisfies my curiosity.
I am not one of them.
No, nor I. That's all I got to say about all the Eric Young.
You know what Eric Young is? Eric Young is a perfect example of whoever writes Eric Young's stuff is absolutely, completely clueless. Because long before Eric Young was this Eric Young, long before he was even in Team Canada, I saw Eric Young work on his show up here in Washington in front of about 38 people. It was a show
many
where
of whom were on the show. Yes.
Somehow, I think because we were press, they gave us the special upstairs balcony seating that only people who paid like $100 got to sit in.
Yeah.
And guess how many other people were there with Vinny and I? 0. No one else paid.
That's not entirely true. Oh, well, yeah, no one else paid.
Yes.
I believe Craig was with us.
He may have been.
And at the table watching the show was, as I mentioned, people who were on the show, Elix Skipper was sitting there.
Well, yeah, the point of this is...
The other point, by the way, for these $100 seats, we got put behind a pillar.
During this Eric Young match, in which, as noted, there was no one in the balcony except me, Vinny, and Craig, all of the wrestlers in the locker room, and there were some names, including Elix Skipper, and who else was there? The Naturals.
Jerry Lawler and Dusty Rhodes.
Jerry Lawler, they didn't come out. But
well, no, they did not.
Everybody else in the locker room.
Oh, my God, that Naturals match.
Everybody else in the locker room came out into the balcony, and they sat there and they watched every moment of Eric Young's match. Because Eric Young was just a heel wrestler who was awesome. And he did comedy in his matches, but it was in the right place at the right time when he wasn't doing his serious heel comedy shtick. The match was awesome. Eric Young was awesome. So, at some point, somebody saw Eric Young have this awesome match as a heel doing some comedy, and they thought, oh, well, let's never have Eric Young do serious wrestling matches. Let's have him do a bunch of skits backstage, and let's give a bunch of stupid comedy that he's willing to do, but which, in fact, actually sucks. And unfortunately, that is the story now of Eric Young's career. Doing a bunch of stupid comedy skits and never wrestling, and when he does, it consists mostly of locking up with people and doing goofy spots with girls' boobs. It's a tragedy, if you ask me. It's wasted talent, is what I'm saying.
I'm over that. I don't care anymore.
I'll tell you the other thing. That's the comparison here. Eric Young is infuriating in this role because we all have seen Santino try to actually have a wrestling match. He's not very good.
He sucks.
Therefore, Santino is a wacky comedy figure.
He is wackety, actually.
He is wackety. Who puts a snake puppet on his hand for his finisher. That's fine.
Yes.
Because Santino can't work.
That's what he has to do.
Eric Young, however, would be one of the best workers on the entire Impact roster if he was actually just a real wrestler. And he could still do some comedy here and there, but instead he's TNA's version of Santino, and in his case, it is a complete and utter waste of talent.
And not funny.
And not funny.
If he was a great wrestler who was stuck doing comedy, but the comedy was good, I would be fine with this. But it's never funny. It's never funny. It's embarrassing for me. I'm embarrassed to be seen watching it by you, who is also watching it.
And I'm embarrassed because my wife is watching us watch it.
I'm embarrassed the fucking cat's watching us watch it.
Well, I try to shield the cat.
Yeah. So that's what I think of Eric Young on this show. Magnus gave Joe a pep talk.
This was great. Magnus was like, hey, let's go out there and win this match together and go to the pay-per-view and get a tag title shot. And Joe's like, let's go! And they shook hands.
Yes. So then we got Kaz and Aj cutting a promo. Kazarian's argument for his promo was that they were going to win the tournament because everyone else was a mismatched wacky team, but he and AJ were friends.
Funny how they did that right after the other two guys got along.
And, well, I'll have more to say about this later. AJ then got a promo, and I found this hysterical. I don't really know why, but he explained that Magnus and Joe were strong, but he and Kaz were quick, and they were going to use that to their advantage and win. I don't know why it made me laugh. It did.
I don't either.
Garrett Bischoff was backstage, putting on a referee shirt. Sting walked in and said, "What are you doing?" Garrett said, "I'm going to go ref the next match." And Sting said, "Garrett, you're not a ref anymore."
You missed the most important part of this.
All right.
Sting walks in and says, "How you doing? How's your neck?" Garrett says, "I've been cleared by the doctor." Sting says, "Cleared 100%? Garrett says, "Yes." So then he's putting on the ref shirt, and Sting says, "Take that off." And he gives him a pair of boots, and he says, "Now you're a wrestler. You're no longer a referee." Now, the reason that is the key point to this whole thing is because Garrett kept asking to wrestle, and Sting didn't want him to because he was afraid that he would get hurt, which in fact led to Garrett suffering a serious neck injury. And on his first night back, when after suffering said serious neck injury, he decided, well, maybe refereeing is for me. Sting said, "No, here's some boots." This storyline made no sense.
I just like that Garrett, not knowing Sting was going to make him a full-time wrestler, just brought his referee shirt to the building, I guess looking for work. He was going to go volunteer to referee.
I just presumed he'd go out for a match. Which, by the way, would have been Gunner's match.
I suppose it would have, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's even stupider. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to talk anymore about Eric, but this Eric Young segment was a million times worse than the first one. There was no redeeming value to it. None. Rob Van Dam wrestled Gunner.
Would you like to tell everybody what happened?
No.
Tell everybody what happened.
He was looking for ODB. He went into Madison and Gail's locker room. Screeching ensued. He tried to lock up with them. He put one of them in a locker. Then he left, and the one in the locker just stepped out.
That was the worst segment in the history of wrestling.
It was goddamn terrible.
I think that was the worst segment I've ever seen as a wrestling
This is
fan.
where I was looking at the screen. I turned to look at you. I kept looking around. Like, this is what my life has come to.
Yes.
This is what...
Not your fault they did this segment.
Whose fault is it? I want to know.
Vince Russo, I'm
blame?
sure, put that segment together.
And no one said no.
Of course not.
No one looked around and said, "Wait a minute, this
They went,
sucks."
"Oh, I get it. We'll show the girls in their bikinis, and Eric Young will do his lockup gimmick."
They weren't in their bikinis here, though. They were in their regular gear.
They were in the locker room, though. That's titillating.
You said tit. I got nothing. I don't know. Rob Van Dam wrestled Gunner. Rob is not the same Rob Van Dam.
He literally is now Bob Van Dam.
He may be.
Father.
He's gone from Rob to Robert to Bob. I did like he's been using a Superman punch for a while. He tried a Superman punch from about 19 feet away.
It was a Superman hammer fist.
Like, if the actual Superman had tried this punch, he would have been too far away and failed.
This actually looked like when Mario tried to jump up with the hammer. Or is that Donkey Kong? What was it where he jumped up and got the hammer?
That would have
It was
been
Donkey Kong.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly what Rob Van Dam did here. He did a Donkey Kong leap.
Kind of didn't he?
He did. He leaped in the air like he was getting the hammer, and then he brought the hammer down on Gunner. On Gunner Manchild. That's what happened here.
Well, I can't argue. So then they did the spot where Rob is standing on the apron, and Gunner grabs his feet and yanks him off, and you know, it's the apron. You fall down, you jump down 3 feet, you land on your feet, and you pretend your face is the apron. Rob Van Dam tried this and appeared to break both legs and his face.
Well, and you missed when Gunner pulled him off. He also whacked him in the back on the way down.
Oh,
that was even
better.
funnier.
Great. It's like Rob's going to hurt himself.
Now that I think about it, there was some dumb stuff on this show.
Yeah.
Let me continue with this match.
All right.
Gunner yanks him off the apron and whacks him on the way down. And then he pulls apart the pretty black mats because he's going to do his gimmick, which is a pile driver on the cement. So he goes for the pile driver, but Rob blocks it and gives him a high backdrop.
Yes.
And I mean like a Ric Flair high backdrop right onto the cement. And he lands with a sickening splat. Although, to be honest, he landed pretty flat, so it probably didn't feel too bad. But the point is, it looked like he was nearly killed. He immediately muttered shit very loudly. I guess mutter is the best word. So he's been killed. Rob gets on the apron and goes for his wacky kick, but he misses and hits the barricade. At which point, Gunner, who is just taking a high backdrop onto the cement, gets up and is fine. And he rubs his back a little bit, but then he goes to give Rob the pile driver, at which point, of course, the geeks run in and break it up.
Leaf Cassidy made the save.
I could not believe this man took a high backdrop onto the cement. Given that him giving dudes moves onto the cement resulted them in going to them, sending them to the hospital, and some of them to the unemployment line in the case of Jesse Neal. But in this particular case right here, he takes a high backdrop, splats on the cement, and he's up like a minute later. Less than that. 10 seconds later, he's back up, thus killing his own gimmick. This was lame.
The two teams in the main event, the match of you versus you and you, they cut promo saying they would win. The highlight of this was that Bully Ray, as far as we could tell, of his own volition, at the end took time to plug a house show.
Yeah, he did.
It appeared that this is something he threw in there because he thought it would be a good idea to do. He was talking about what he would do to Abyss tonight in this six-man, what he would do to Abyss at the pay-per-view, and then, oh, by the way, when I get my hands on you and I forget what he said,
Rob
Rochester.
Van Dam tomorrow in Hell's Kitchen, New York.
Wherever, yes. Great!
It's good.
Bully Ray rules.
Good job.
Kid Cash and Austin Aries versus, swear to God, Zima, Ion, and Jesse Sorensen.
You know what, though? Jesse Sorensen looked really good in this match.
Fuck yeah.
He looked really good.
That's fine. No, I totally agree. He was spectacular. Zima, Ion, and Jesse Sorensen have been feuding for weeks.
Hell, so of the very last pay-per-view, the whole gimmick was that Kid Cash and Aries screwed each other.
I was going to get to that. So, during the same month when they are doing a tag team tournament wherein all the tag teams are determined by random draw, therefore, by and large, they do not like each other, you then also book a match where two guys who are feuding must team against two other guys who are feuding.
Yeah.
Stupid! So, yes, Jesse Sorensen looked unfucking real in this match. They then they built to a hot tag, but then Jesse Sorensen, they got the heat on him, and then when he got to the part where he would make the hot tag, he, didn't like his partner, so he didn't want to tag out, but he was still stupid enough to back into his own corner so Ion could blind tag himself in. That irritated me. They did this actually like 3 or 4 or 5 times, and by the end, there was a very convoluted finish where Zima missed a 450 splash, and Aries tried a brainbuster, but somewhere in the middle there, Sorensen tagged himself in, and he hit his wacky roll of the dice move, or whatever the fuck it is, and he got a clean pin over the X-Division champion, Austin Aries.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, there's a 4-way at the pay-per-view with the same 4 guys.
That is correct.
This win, the biggest win in the career of Jesse Sorensen here over the reigning champion, to the back. To the back. Where AJ yelled at Kaz, saying they were up next. And Kaz came out of a room, and he hung his head in shame, and he left, and a few seconds went by, and then from out of the room came AJ Styles' hated enemy, Christopher Daniels. To recap, they did a tag team tournament based upon the fact it was all partners who hated each other and couldn't get along. They were also doing that in random X Division matches on this show. And then, the one team whose gimmick is they get along and work together well, and the angle is that they're breaking up.
Well, maybe.
Bryan.
Well, I know that's what happened, but I didn't mind this at all.
Vince Russo has no friends. You realize this?
Oh, of course not.
Every person who's ever known him has betrayed him and stabbed him in the back.
Yeah. It's strange psychology.
I
Don't think about it too much.
It's depressing. And no women love him either. Because he vents it all out on the show.
Yeah.
That's just what happens.
He doesn't like women or people.
He does not like friendship. He cannot fathom a universe where a partner, a union will take place and people will function healthfully within it. They must break up. They must have drama. There must be strife. It's astounding. There was Eric Young appears on screen, and I just scream no at this point. I can't take it anymore. So we had Joe and Magnus versus Kazarian and AJ. Tanay was sure to point out, and this is a quote, "I like the way Joe and Magnus work together, neither man trying to steal the spotlight." that should not be rare.
Well,
that should be universal.
In this kind of tournament, that would be rare.
Oh, my God.
Oh, Vinny.
I hate the show.
There have been many worse shows.
There have been. I don't fucking care. Better than shit.
It's still better.
Vomit is better than shit. Doesn't mean I like vomit. This show is vomit.
I cannot believe what I just heard on this family program.
Do you want to debate it?
Wait a second. What did you say? I just heard all the swear words, but now I need to hear what you actually just said.
What I said was that vomit is better than shit. That doesn't mean I like vomit.
No, I don't want to argue this. I just was wondering what you said.
I'm not sure I want to argue it, but... All right, so, yeah. AJ was in the ring. He went to tag to Daniels, or went to tag to Kaz, but Daniels came out on the ramp. He gave Kaz a signal, and Kaz walked out, so AJ got pinned. This was the tournament final. This was the way to establish a new team as a threat to the tag team champions, and they got their win when one guy walked out. Defend this show for me. Tell me how great it was.
Well, I just thought that there have been worse. Oh, my God. Cat invasion! Cat invasions! Snork, baby, what's the matter?
Starving.
Go feed her.
Why just feed the cat?
Cat's going nuts here.
Don't. I don't want you to feed her.
Why don't you feed the cat?
Well, I usually wait till the show's over so I can put the cat to bed. The cat's being very, oh, this poor cat. It's been very needy lately.
Yeah.
But I have to balance neediness with hunger.
Why? Why do you have to starve the cat?
I'm not starving the cat.
Is the cat hungry?
The cat is always hungry.
Because you don't feed it.
I could put a whale in my living room, and the cat would eat itself to death, and then still be hungry somehow. You know, my butterfly swept my cat today. Did I tell you this?
No.
This is a fact. I was thinking about the move today, but I didn't have anyone to practice it on this afternoon, and it was in my mind. You know, I just had to try it on something. You notice I say something. And since my wife was unavailable, I decided, all right, I'm going to just try and give this a shot on the cat. Cat didn't like the whole having to stand on its hind legs while I got the underhook, but it was a trooper, and then I swept it.
Well, congratulations.
The point is, it didn't like the setup, but it took a nice ride. It worked.
What?
I know sometimes the cat didn't like the process of setting up the move. But when I actually swept the cat, it seemed to enjoy this little flip.
Whatever. I don't even know anymore. So the tag team champions, Crimson and Matt Morgan, they're cutting a promo about how they're going to win. Joe Magnus interrupted. They had a shoving match.
I was laughing at the text that Whit just sent me. She used the term panicking. Snork panicking with hunger. Like the cat's running in circles, screaming in terror. It's so hungry.
Actually, I've seen your cat.
You may be right.
That's not unreasonable.
Panicking.
What the hell else is it? Oh, the main event. So there's a 6-man. It was going along just fine, and then it was a DQ because all 6 men were brawling.
That's fine.
It was fine. And then everyone hit a big move, and it ended with all 3 heels dominating all 3 baby faces. Roode had Hardy in a crossface. Bully Ray was choking Abyss with a chain. And Angle has Storm in the ankle lock and showing off the air. That's efficient.
Yeah.
So you have, all 3 baby faces looking for revenge. Great.
Yeah. I thought this was at worst, a thumbs in the middle show. Not sure I'd go thumbs up.
I do.
The last 3...
I'm sure I won't.
Listen.
It was the best show in weeks.
Yeah. That's all I ask for nowadays. All I ask is that every show be the best show in weeks. Including the results of the TNA Genesis pay-per-view, which I don't know how many of you listening watched that show. My guess is not many. Second month in a row. I know that you were not too appalled by the finish of the last pay-per-view. I was. I thought the idea of going off the air with no winner in an Iron Man match and then doing 5 more minutes on TV was preposterous.
Well, I mean, what they did on TV was completely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't mind a draw, but what they did tonight, I just thought was just ridiculous. I mean, just 2 months in a row, and I mean, it's like that they're. It really is like that they are. Like there's a what's the word I'm looking for? That they have like a contest, in the office of how soon they can get their pay-per-view numbers below 5,000. Because they're just, with what they're doing. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, you're just telling people, do not buy our pay-per-view. You're an absolute fool if you buy our pay-per-view. And so anyway, I think that's kind of the feeling that you get, especially because I'm figuring that we're probably going to get a rematch of this on Thursday. And that one will get the clean finish.
Mm-hmm. I just feel, as far as the draw goes, I mean, if you were having a string of great pay-per-views, and in the middle of it you did a draw finish that led to another pay-per-view or something like that, that's all fine. But when your pay-per-views are doing terrible numbers and you're down to 8,000 people that care enough to actually pay for it, at least give those people a finish. That was my thought.
I think we're below. I think we're going to be below that one. Pretty quick.
This is
I think
not good.
By next month, we'll probably be below 8,000. We almost have to be, don't you think?
I'm surprised they're at 8,000 now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this show was, I guess the story of the show was just bad finishes up and down the card. Some bad finishes.
More than anything else, that was the story of the show, because it wasn't as like the matches. The matches weren't too bad. There were some bad matches, but I thought everything, for the most part, I thought everything was average to good. And then, but lots of bad finishes, and then the way they ended the show was such a negative ending of the show. I mean, I think that I probably was more, I don't know if mad is the word, but more just, boy, is this stupid at the end of the show than at any other point in the entire show. During the whole show, it was kind of this is okay, it's not like it's a great show or even a good show, but it's okay. And then the way they finished it, it's this isn't okay. This is bad.
It's one thing if you've got a show and you decide, all right, we're going to have one, I don't want to say one bad finish, but we're going to have one finish that's not a great finish. That's one thing. But when you have bad finishes up and down the show, and then you decide your main event is also going to be a bad finish, it's just kind of I don't know.
Well, the other
frustrating.
Thing too, the other thing too is you can. I'm never minded finishes that build to a rematch, or something like that. But you can't do let's say 8 matches and then build to 8 rematches. That doesn't work. I mean, you can do 8 matches and build to 2 rematches or something like that. And I don't even know if the purpose was rematches up and down the card. I mean, obviously, the Bobby Roode Jeff Hardy match. You're obviously building to I guess a rematch, but what kind of a rematch, and why would you even care? What, a cage? That's not until April, so it can't be a cage match. A no DQ match. Well, probably do it. The thing is, they're probably going to do it on TV anyway. But I thought more than the main event, I thought the dumbest finish was actually the Kurt Angle James Storm match, which was a pinfall.
That match was just a disaster from bell to bell, I thought, in a lot of different ways.
I didn't think it was a disaster. I thought it was a blah match, but it was really bad in the sense that James Storm is supposed to be this hot star, and he looked like anything but that in this match, and then you beat him. And it's like, James Storm shouldn't lose a match until he gets his shot at Bobby Roode, whenever that is. I mean, the whole idea of them going away from it was to make people really badly want to see it again before you give it to them. And it's like, by having Kurt Angle pin the guy with no outside interference, how does that make them want to see James Storm challenge Bobby Roode for the world title? I mean, not at all.
Well, actually, let's start at the beginning, then we'll talk about all these matches, because I have a lot to say about all of them. Opener was Austin Aries, Kid Cash, Jesse Sorensen, Zema Ion in a four-way, and they were doing, by 2 minutes.
They did an elimination match, and I swear I watch all their TV. I talk to people in the company. I had no idea this was an elimination match. Was it ever said?
It may have been. I just knew there were 4 men involved. I just knew four-way.
What? I knew it was a four-way, too, but I never knew it was an elimination.
I knew it was an elimination when they actually did a finish here. It was an elimination.
They said it right before the match started. They said, by the way, it's going to be an elimination match. It's like, oh, that's... I don't care that it was or it wasn't. Just, if you tell the people ahead of time.
By the 2-minute, 30-second mark, we had a train wreck spot and a stacked-up superplex spot. So then they broke down into just like a normal match with two guys in the ring at the same time, and that was kind of anticlimactic. Ion did a 450 on Cash, essentially out of nowhere, and pinned him. At which point I was like, oh my God, the match is over. And they said, no, it's an elimination. So I was like, all right, fine. So then Aries hit a 450, but Sorensen kicked out of it, so Ion made fun of Aries, and that was actually a good spot. Sorensen pinned Ion with a small package, so it was Aries and Jesse Sorensen together, and Ion was hiding outside in plain sight, and Sorensen went up top, Ion split his legs, Aries climbed up, middle rope brainbuster, 1, 2, 3. It was a fine opener. I didn't think it was anything special, but they did a lot of flips.
I thought it was a good match. Just the same. It's like there's this division's running in place with these four guys, or whatever it is. Like really, it's been three guys, and they just threw Ion in just because. I guess they've done three ways, so they needed something. Like they're going nowhere, and so to keep going kind of like nowhere, they need to do something different. So that's where they threw Ion in to be the fourth guy instead of doing another three-way.
I thought it was interesting because. Aries is champion, and so the finish involved Ion screwing Sorensen to set up a match with them, and so what's Aries supposed to be doing as champ?
Maybe it'll be a three-way next month, except it'll be Ion and Kid Cash won't be in it.
We had Terrence and Terrell showing up all decked out like the Pope. They went from never talking to never not talking. He noted that they were 16 years old.
Yeah, we never knew that.
I did not know that.
I thought they were about to start in the business, start wrestling like this month.
That's what I thought.
The way they've been talking about, they've been being trained and this and that.
16 years old may have been an exaggeration, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out. It would be distressing to know that I've been writing my newsletter longer than they've been alive. It'd be distressing. So I've
been writing my newsletter longer than anyone's been alive.
Well, you got a head start. So Pope and Devon had a match. And crowd was into the match based on the story of the boys being out there with Pope, decked out like him, sunglasses, vest, the whole 9 yards. So they just got this storyline kicked off, and it's over. Devon...
That was unbelievable.
He was down. The Pope called the boys into the ring. He said, beat up your dad. They hesitated. So he beat them up. And then Devon pinned the Pope, and then the Sons and Devon hugged. And the storyline is over. I swear to God, everybody, I swear this is true. It's already over. Astonishing.
Wait, here's the thing. Why would they hesitate to beat him up when? How many weeks ago was it? Like 2 or 3 weeks ago when they did beat him up, and they just turned on him literally in this cycle. Was it 2, 3 weeks ago? 3, 4 weeks ago. They just turned on him, and then it's already over. I couldn't believe it.
Maybe they really had a change of heart during them holidays.
Okay. Then why did they come out dressed like him in the first place?
This whole thing was just...
Didn't they like hit him with a chair? When he was about to choke the hell out of Pope on TV a couple weeks back?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're asking me for instilling logic in this?
Boots to him?
Yeah, this storyline ended up horrible. I thought they were actually onto something there for a while.
So did I. I thought, like, when they shot the angle, and also here's the other thing. At some point in this angle, okay, it has been mentioned that Devon's wife left him. And remember, she was in the angle originally, okay, and then she just disappeared, like doesn't exist. And then it was like alleged that she was with Pope, and then it was never said again that she was. And I'm wondering what that was all about. Because that was like, when I heard that, it's like, okay, the wife left and the kids, and they're all with Pope. That's a great storyline, except that nobody believes it and no one cares. But
and it's a real life storyline with others.
This would have been like an awesome storyline in another generation. And I even mentioned it to some people, and it was like, yeah, but no one cares, so it doesn't really matter. And in the end, it doesn't. But now it's over, and whatever. Just yeah. I mean, it just tell you, like, do not ever invest in pro wrestling.
Don't care,
storyline.
Everybody. Do not bother caring.
Yeah,
that's the lesson.
It's the thing is like, it's one thing if it was like Vince Russo, because I know, like, even though Vince Russo's got certain traits that he's really good at, such as scripting promos, he can be excellent at that. When it comes to actually booking pro wrestling, he's terrible. But we were told that it's not him, it's somebody else. Well, whoever whether it's Eric Bischoff or Bruce Pritchard or Vince Russo or all of them. There's no excuse or explanation for for doing this. It just doesn't, it doesn't compute. So what's the deal?
I honestly think that about 4 weeks ago they went back to Russo, because about 4 weeks ago the show just completely fell off a cliff again. I thought it'd been so much better, not great show or anything like that, but significantly better for like, I don't know, 2 months or so, and then all of a sudden it just became preposterous again. And I don't know what happened.
I didn't like hate the TVs. I thought that like Thursday's TV was. I mean, most of the TVs when I watch, I think they're okay. I can't think I've loved any TVs of late. There was definitely a period in October, November where the TVs were very good. I don't think that's the case either. But I mean, as far as like really bad booking, I haven't really thought, okay, this booking is like really bad like before. But tonight, obviously, I mean, that was the thing that was hitting me in the head, is like, this is from when it comes to storytelling and finishes.
I disagree greatly. I mean, let me just bring up, maybe you can answer this one, since everyone else I brought it up to has no explanation. Let's just take the Garrett thing. Garrett shows up on Thursday in his refereeing outfit.
It's just to surprise you, that's all.
Yeah, but hold on a second. The whole storyline was that Gunner wanted to wrestle and Sting didn't want him to. And he was afraid that Gunner was going to get hurt.
No, Garrett, not Gunner.
Garrett. So Garrett finally talks Sting into wrestling, and he proceeds to get hurt, seriously, they claim.
Yeah.
And then when he comes back to the company, ready to just be a referee again, Sting suddenly just makes him a wrestler? I mean, that makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, well, the thing is it does make no sense. But the whole idea is that Garrett showed before he got hurt that he was a ringer and that he actually could wrestle when Sting didn't realize that he could wrestle. So, I mean, they obviously, however you do it. I mean, the whole thing is there's clearly, with Eric and everything, that one of the things that we're getting is we're getting like Garrett Bischoff's getting the big time push as like the new rising star, and this guy can sense resentment already building. Actually, there's been from day one, and it's going to build even more because he's getting the whatever the thing. And he here's the thing with him. He should be in Louisville,
mm-hmm.
and he's not in Louisville.
Mm-mm.
And explain that.
Well, he can't afford it, so I don't know.
He can't afford it. I mean, it's like you hook up with this, Louisville thing so you can get guys, experience. And you have a guy who, to his credit, I mean, I think Garrett Bishop's got a great look. I mean, when you look at him, he looks like he can be a star, okay? But in this business, it takes a lot more than just, being a Ken doll, for lack of a better word, to be a star. And, you have to be able to, do other things. And he needs the work. And, they'll send, Anarchia up there, who they're never going to push no matter what anyway. Or they'll send, Rob Terry up there, who, granted also needs work. But Garrett, Garrett Bishop to me would be the first guy that I would want up in OVW. Especially if you want to do something with him, and I know they do. I mean, obviously, it's Eric's son. You always want your son to be a star.
We had Velvet rushing up. She had to talk to Sting right now. It's an emergency, she said. And she just went on and on and on and on and on. The gist of it was she had an idea to take care of Madison tonight. And she whispered it in Sting's ear, and he said, good idea, but we don't have time to build that. She goes, oh, well, this is what she explained. I was hoping you'd say that because I told the production crew to build it earlier. Apparently, without getting the okay from Sting, she talked the production crew into building a shark cage. A pink one. So anyway, that was the...
Well, what they could have said was like...
they could have said it on Thursday.
No, well, that's something else. Well, they could have advertised it and told people to step. Especially since Gail Kim and Madison or Gail Kim and Mickey James were doing a match, and they'd already done a couple of matches already, and so there was no reason for another match unless you had a stip, and you actually had a stip, but you just didn't tell anyone what it was, or they just didn't have one and they just figured it out in the last 2 days, because you got to remember the TV was shot a ways back, or maybe in the last week or two, but whatever the thing on this is that they could have said something to the effect of I don't know if they've used this gimmick before in TNA, I think, just because I'm thinking they've used every single gimmick in the world in TNA at some point. They could have just said, "Oh, we already have one from a couple of years ago, and I brought it here." That would be better than saying, "Oh, the production crew built it in the last hour and a half." You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So that is we'll get to that in a moment. Actually, we had Gunner and RVD TV match. Ended up with Gunner outside the ring. His flares distracting the ref. Gave RVD the DDT on the cement. Threw him back inside. The referee counted the pin. They stretchered out RVD, who was so badly injured that he was tweeting about an hour later.
Was he really?
Oh, yeah.
What was he saying? I mean, I'm badly injured?
I'll find it here, actually. I'm badly injured, huh? It might have been. Let's check out his Twitter here.
Oh, it'd be better if he just said, "Oh, by the way, that was all fake."
I don't think he said that. Let's see. The real RVD. 5 hours ago. I love how National Car Rental wires 2 key remotes together, so if you lose one, they're both gone. Brilliant! That was his tweet. He had car problems after the pay-per-view.
Wow.
So there you go. A serious injury there at the show. Somebody also said that Jeff Jarrett during the show was tweeting about Desperate Housewives or something. I'd have to...
so he was watching TV.
He's watching something else. Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
He was watching Desperate Housewives and not the pay-per-view.
Well, he's just staying in
Desperate
character.
Housewives is a good show.
Let's see, Jeff Jarrett, TNA, Twitter. Let's confirm this while we're on the... there you go. 6 hours ago, which would have been... what would it be? 7:24. So right in the middle of the pay-per-view, he tweeted, "What a cliffhanger!"
Maybe he was talking about the finish of one of the matches.
Nope, because it's directed to @DesperateABC, which would be Desperate Housewives. So
I said that's too rich for words.
Yeah.
Well, but then again, think about it. It's like, it's not like he's going to buy a pay-per-view.
Yeah. What else?
At least, I think it's almost funnier that he's doing that than at least, not talking about the NFL or something.
Well, actually, funny you should mention that.
Oh, that was another tweet?
7 hours ago, which would have been smack dab in the middle of the pay-per-view, he wrote, tough loss, good game, hope you're well. Sorry to all of our Steeler fans. Actually, James Fourier had written about sorry to all our Steeler fans, and he replied. Oh. So there he was talking about the game, in fact.
Okay.
And he's also responding here. What else? Anyway. So, yeah, there was a lot of interesting things going on in the world during the TNA pay-per-view last night that had nothing to do with...
That people who are running TNA obviously were a lot more, cared a lot more about than the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
What's Dixie tweeting about?
Well, Dixie did actually tweet about the matches. So
okay,
she was talking about the matches. So anyway, got an RVD, got stretched out.
Didn't somebody somebody on the show was trending? Bully Ray, I think.
Oh yeah. They mentioned a trending worldwide.
Yeah, it's like which tells you you know how few people are probably watching this show.
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say?
Tells you nothing else was going on.
Yeah. Oh no! Just like the NFL playoffs are going on.
Well, Bully Ray apparently is. Well, it's just because with trending, everybody was talking about the playoffs all night, so there was nothing. It wasn't like anything was new. Whereas Bully Ray came from nowhere, which is how the trending is determined.
Yeah, that's why I think the guy who came up with the way that they're trending, that guy's a freaking genius.
Yeah.
Because he gets something that people take as being important that's absolutely of no. It says absolutely nothing of any substance whatsoever.
We had Gail and Mickey for the women's title with, I'm not going to lie, Madison in that damn shark cage screeching for this entire match nearly made me just go do something else during this match. It was just absolutely infuriating. They, at least...
Madison Rayne is the whole deal of these women. I mean, I know that the people who write this show don't understand this, but the whole deal of in theory on television of having hot women is to make you kind of be interested in them in a fantasy way, right?
That's the idea.
And TNA, I mean, especially Madison's a perfect example because the way you brought it up, and her portrayal, it's like she's nice looking, and the way they portray her, you would have no interest whatsoever in actually in any of the TNA women, because even what's her name, Velvet Sky, when she came out with Sting, by the time that interview was over, it was like, my God, will she just shut up? I mean, there was nothing attractive. I mean, she's physically attractive, and it's just you would never want to spend 10 minutes with that woman because it's she will not shut up. I mean, it's very clear that. I mean, I know this anyway. I mean, you don't have to watch TNA much, but it's written by women haters. So it's they take these really pretty women and they make them to where you just can't stand them. And it's why don't they just get average women who can wrestle and don't even bother, and you might actually like them just because they're good at what they do or something. I don't know what.
Well, the girls tried here in this match, and then we had the fabulous finish of Madison drops a pair of knucks out of the cage, and the ref sees them.
Well, it's not even a drop. She drops them, they fall on the mat, and then they roll to the side to the floor. I thought that was so awesome. And the ref had to jump out of the ring.
He gets them.
Do whatever, to confiscate him? Is that what it was? He
confiscated him, and he's getting rid of them. She drops a second pair. And this time, Mickey grabs them, and she puts them on right in front of the referee, and she punches Gail right in front of the referee for the disqualification here in this title match, thus not winning the title. He could not have made her look dumber. I mean, this is just astonishing, this whole thing here. Everything...
Oh, I saw that. Everyone looked stupid.
Everybody looked dumb in this match.
Yeah.
And there was screeching.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. Everyone, it's just whatever. I mean, the match was okay. The match was I thought the match was better than average, but just terrible finish.
I did also, I don't know. The fans were chanting bullshit, and of course, you have the right to chant anything you want, but they got this show for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're still there.
I know, but they were angry that they were pissed off on a free show.
But maybe they were thinking, the people who are watching it are paying for this, so we're going to be their voice. We're the voice of the voiceless.
I don't blame them. I just think it's funny that the finish was so bad that people getting in for free felt ripped off.
Well, it was a waste of your time.
It was very annoying. We had Bully Ray interview, and then they had the match. It was Bully and Abyss. And I'll get the nice stuff out of the way first. If you just wrote this match down on paper, like for a story, and human beings didn't actually do it, probably wasn't a bad story. Seeing these two guys out there, staple guns, cheese grater.
Was there a staple gun?
It was thrown in. It was not used.
Oh, okay.
A nail.
Why bother? They threw so much shit in there that they didn't use.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's whatever.
They had a barbed wire board, which apparently was real barbed wire based on how people were sticking to it.
Getting sliced by it, too.
Abyss was put on one. Another was put on him. And then Bully did a senton off the top. They used the thumbtacks, of course. It was just like... It's one of those matches where I just watch it and I think, it's 2012, you two idiots. I mean, we're not... This is not like it's not like... I don't want to sit here and watch like some sort of weird carnival. I paid to watch wrestling, and I'm watching like some just crazy freak show with two complete idiots killing themselves. Not even for my entertainment. I suppose some people were entertained by this.
There were people entertained by it.
Sure.
I actually hated this match, but I read people, and I got response from people who really liked it. And I guess the one thing I'll say is that when they were doing these matches, when Abyss was doing these matches month after month, they were really horrible. But it's been a long time, and when you don't do something for a long time and then you do it, and it's kind of newish, it's different, and different is often good. Having said that, me personally, I hated this match because not just the stupid bumps, okay, which, neither here nor there. I've seen stupid bumps in other matches. I'm not really into that thing. But to me, what I didn't like is the way that they were set up. It was so contrived. It's like if it flows in during the match and you can actually make this shit work, like in the guise of a match, and it looks like you're having a match. That's okay. It's working. It's whatever. This was like there was no attempt. It was just like, we're going to throw a whole bunch of weapons in. Then I'm going to, spend all this time setting up this one stunt spot. Then it's done, and now I'm going to spend all this time setting up another stunt spot. Now it's done, and it was just like it never felt like a match. It just felt like it feels like a match. It doesn't feel like two guys are geeks. But this is what it was.
These guys were literally geeks. They were sideshow geeks, abusing themselves and mutilating themselves. Some people, 8,000 people bought. Okay,
so some people will argue that all professional wrestling is that. I mean, and
no, not like this. That's.
I mean, but it is. Guys do abuse their body in professional wrestling matches. But yeah, no. I mean, I'm watching the barbed wire and the falling in the thumbtacks, and also, what? Also, the other thing too is, if you did like a match and you did one of these bumps and it was the finish, okay, I could even say, oh, you know what, it's a memorable finish. I still don't like it. It's just not my cup of tea. But it's another to do like whatever it was, like 6 of them. It's just like it does make it feel like a freak show. So I actually hated this match though. So but I know people liked it.
We had Matt Morgan and Crimson doing an interview. I think they're the new Road Warriors because we got a "Tell 'em Morgan" out of Crimson.
I did see that. That was hilarious.
Yeah. And then
I just thought he didn't like Morgan.
Yeah. We had the match, and
we never said who won that match, by the way. The Abyss.
Abyss gave him a black hole slam onto a barbed wire board.
Yes,
which, by the way...
After Abyss chokeslammed Bully Ray on thumbtacks, and Bully Ray kicked out in the senton spot, and what other ones was there? There was I don't even remember.
Just random violence, a cheese grater to the balls.
Which actually, Bully Ray did sell that pretty well.
Well, yeah.
No, he did. I mean, that was a great
I'm talking
facial.
the match in general. He did loudly scream about his balls, and everybody laughed. Which,
yeah.
I guess
I think Bully Ray's great, but I still.
This was not his finest moment here. This was one of his lowest moments.
I thought so. I thought when they just threw all those weapons in, just like for no reason, the match just went downhill from there.
I just think like sometimes, maybe I'm looking at this the completely wrong way, but I just think, okay, let's look back at ECW in the mid '90s. Let's presume there are a bunch of.
It's not the mid '90s.
What are you talking about?
You said let's look at the thing is like okay, well, go ahead with your.
Okay, let's just say the '90s, the ECW in the '90s, '94 to '98 or whatever.
Okay,
the glory years of ECW or whatever. Let's just say that you had a bunch of 18 to 24-year-old guys that are in the crowd watching those matches, and they're getting off on all this craziness and this blood and this violence they've never seen before in wrestling. Okay, those people are like almost 40 now, and they've got kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with that's good. That's but in theory, you should have a new crop of fans and things like that.
Do we really have a new crop of fans that are just dying for this action?
I'm saying in theory. But the thing is that with ECW, I mean, it was a different era, and they ushered in. One of the things with ECW and a lot of the things with the '90s of pro wrestling, and why pro wrestling was really popular in the '90s was because there was all of these ideas of pro wrestling, like what they were doing in Mexico, what they were doing in Japan, and and we were behind both. The United States was behind, and Paulie, and Eric Bischoff to a degree. They both saw stuff that was going on elsewhere. They imported it here. The American fan saw it for the first time. Vince didn't do that, but Vince's guys ended up copying what the other guys did in this country. But so you're getting a lot of new stuff. And it created, and some new stars and old stars, at the same time. And you had a great boom period. And now what we got is all the stuff that they're doing is stuff that has been seen before. There's nothing new. The workers aren't as good. The writing is shit. And I think that's why. And they haven't created the new stars. And the old stars, for the most part, don't want to be around. Or if they want to be around, they want to be around sparingly at all, and or they're like 60 years old as opposed to being 40, and that's what we got. That's why we got what we got.
Just feels like all that stuff at the time was a niche thing, and it's not like the niche has grown in the last 20 years, 15 years, or whatever. It's just I don't know.
Well, no, it's been seen, and also people are smarter than they were then. And again, the first time you see, I remember like those ECW brawls because I saw them in Japan in FMW before they were in ECW. So by the time they were in ECW, I had already seen it, so I wasn't as impressed. I mean, not that there wasn't stuff in ECW that I liked, but a lot of the stuff in ECW that people raved about, I was like, I saw that shit in FMW. And once you see it, the first time you see it, it's the greatest thing in the world, those brawls with all that stuff, because, even in the old days of wrestling when they did brawls, they'd never, it would be like one weapon shot and it would be the finish. You wouldn't have the ridiculously hard chair shots and going through tables and all that stuff. But like I said, once you've seen it, it's like, it's not something that like seeing it over and over again does anything for you. It's not like like you can see a great match, done in many different ways, and it's still a great match. But that kind of a match, which is usually the same type of thing over and over, it's like once the novelty's gone, it's gone. So I mean, like here with the Abyss match, the positive I'll say is like they haven't done it in a while. So in that sense, it didn't feel like it was something that they do on every show. Because when they were doing it a few years ago with Abyss, I was just getting sick of it. But the way this match was worked was just so not like the context of how it was worked was so freaking terrible, and plus I'm not into this stuff myself, and I thought it was a double whammy negative. So there.
Morgan and Crimson beat Joe and his partner in this wacky tournament, Brutus Magnus. In the tag title match here, they had a match. It wasn't really much. Joe did his best. Magnus is all right. Crimson and Morgan. We had Crimson as babyface in peril. That was awesome. And then Joe ended up outside, and Crimson and Morgan pinned Magnus with a double team side. I I guess sidewalk slam.
I thought so. Yeah, kind of sidewalk slam, choke slam deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I thought Joe was pretty good. I thought Joe was pretty good in this match, but he couldn't carry a whole match by himself. And I think, like I said this before. I think Magnus. There's something in Magnus that they just there's potential there. Morgan and Crimson as a team are they're really a pretty bad team.
But they're big.
Yeah, I think that they should have like put one of them with like a good worker as a partner. Like the big guy who comes in and cleans house while the smaller worker gets sympathy. Because these guys, neither of these guys sell well, and neither of these guys work well. And and
that's a double whammy as well.
Yeah, and so they, like the guy who sells doesn't build the hot tag well because he doesn't sell well. So they're not a very good team. And like I said, Joe did the best he could under the circumstances, and it was I would call it a slightly below average match. Didn't stink, but like some of the Morgan and Crimson stuff has. But it was a little, it was okay.
We had Angle and Storm, and Kurt has always, no matter how hurt he is, he's always been kind of a freak. But this match was the match where I really noticed that for whatever reason, he looks like a 43-year-old former wrestler who trains a little when he's not hurting too bad. And his work in the last few months is just like, part of it is obviously he doesn't want to get hurt, but he's just like...
Yeah, but he's been hurt.
He's fallen
that whole
off.
Thing, look, the guy just tore his hamstring. How long ago was it?
Yeah.
It's like, come on, he's not... whatever he says, it's like... Remember, he wasn't supposed to come back, and then he came back a month later?
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's in... The guy's probably in such ridiculous pain. And eventually, it's caught up with him.
It is badly caught up with him. And I know a lot of people, like even last month, people were, kind of down on Storm. But the thing with Storm is like, I think the whole idea here was, we're gonna do this deal with James Storm and Robert Roode, and in the meantime, we'll put Storm in with Angle. He'll have awesome matches. He'll get over and everything. And they had that one TV match, and ever since that point, Angle has not been Kurt Angle. And he's going in there and having very average matches with James Storm. And this was just another one of them. And worse, as you noted, they do all these spots. They kick out of all sorts of things. Nobody really cares. And then finally, Kurt hits a low blow and then the absolute worst super kick of all time in wrestling.
That was supposed to be... I didn't even know what... I was absolutely stunned when Storm didn't kick out.
That was supposed to be a super kick after the low blow.
Okay, I know it was a kick. I thought it was like some wacky kick. But
it was wacky.
Yeah, it just dumbfounded me that like James Storm would do a job for anyone at this point.
This was...
more ting like the match being boring, that finish, it made me like really question these guys because it's like, how do you, It's like,
I don't have an answer.
How can anyone, like, again, and it's not just one person, there's like, how many people are involved here in these finishes?
Well, it's a lot of the wrong people.
They have a freaking meeting with, probably 20 people in the room, when they have the production meeting, and, they're reading the script of the show to the director and all this, and they're just sitting there. And I'm just wondering, I used to know, when they would have the meeting and Cornette would do all the wisecracks and everything. But, what does everyone do at the meeting when it's like, okay, and then he's going to low blow, and then he's going to pin James Storm, and they're all, oh, yeah, that makes sense. It's like,
that's probably exactly what happens.
Somebody go, this is ridiculous. This is completely stupid.
No, they fired Jim Cornette for doing that. That's what's happened. Listen, God bless these people, but these agents in TNA are god awful.
Well, I do agree because the other thing with the agents is I don't know if they don't like discuss things, but like in this one, wasn't there the same spot in the same spot was like in 3 matches in a row.
Oh, that happens all the time.
Yeah, it's like and how many times do they do that superplex where they shove the guy off in the same show?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a minor point. But
no, I don't know.
Could you imagine how we talk about with with UFC, like this January 28th show, and it's like if everything goes right, it's good, and if the wrong guy wins, you've like screwed up a big match, right?
Yeah.
These guys are in full control, and they actually book like all the wrong winners. Not always, but sometimes. It's like, and you should never book like the wrong winner. That's the easiest thing in the world. This guy we're grooming for the world championship. So what do? We beat him by this guy who's like, we're not doing anything with, who shouldn't even be wrestling anyway. I mean, like if Kurt wants to go to the Olympics, I mean, he should be like gone. You know what I mean?
He needs to be in the wilderness of Minnesota.
Not in the wilderness. He should be up in Colorado Springs.
Sure.
Except he couldn't be there because he's got his secret moves he doesn't want anyone to see. He should be up there in Colorado Springs if he's serious.
Secret
and I mean, I know he's
moves.
not, but whatever. But if even he's hurt. The guy's clearly hurt. Look, if Kurt Angle can't have a good match, think of how hurt he must be, because he used to have great matches when he was hurt, and it's not just the age. This guy needs to just, I mean, he just needs to probably retire, honestly, or if it's not that bad, then he needs like 3 or 4 months off to heal.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think he's got the thing in his head that he can't take time off. I mean, obviously, but they just need to tell him, dude, like, you're not even having 3-star matches on pay-per-views with good people. You just need to rest up, because this is doing nobody any good. It's not doing him any good, that's for sure.
We had a Bully segment earlier where he was brawling with Abyss after the match, where they did all this craziness. And then they cut backstage after the Angle match, and Bully's cleaning blood off his hand, and the guy goes, "Where's Abyss?" And he says, gets a creepy look, and he goes, "Why would I know where Abyss is?" So I guess we'll think he killed him? I don't know. Guess we'll find out on Thursday.
Abyss is gone. Okay. I will say this. When they did that cutaway to them brawling, it was in the middle of the Matt Morgan match. To the live crowd, they did kill the Matt Morgan match. Not that match was doing any great shakes anyway, but I do remember like the crowd was sort of into it, and when they came back, those guys couldn't do, they'd killed the momentum, whatever minor momentum those guys had. That is always, to me, when you have a match in the ring, unless it's job guys, where the whole purpose is those you have job guys and you're just doing it as a backdrop. When you have a match in the ring and then you cut to something in the back with a bunch of other guys that kind of usurps them, you've killed their match. And I mean, even if they're good guys, you've done it. Because I remember once with Benoit and Bret Hart in Toronto, of all places, and then they cut backstage to Hall and Nash and those guys, and Benoit and Bret Hart, their match was destroyed. And it's like, I've watched this done so many times, and it's. I mean, granted, it didn't bother me in this one because it wasn't going to be a great match in any way, and I didn't care about the match to begin with. But I just thought there's kind of like a rule of thumb that, like, you kind of like learned, and these guys didn't learn it.
And then finally, we had the Bobby Roode match with Jeff Hardy for the title. They had a fair amount of time, so they did a lot of stalling early. I found the match largely boring for the most part. And finally, they started doing all their near falls, everything like that. They kick out of everything. And then we had our wacky, creative finish, I guess as they say. Roode kept trying to bail, so Hardy twice threw him back inside. So finally, Roode tries to hit him with a belt. And so Hardy ducks, he boots him, he's about to do the twist of fate when the ref jumps in between them at that exact moment to remove the belt from the ring. So Roode rolls him up, grabs the tights, ref...
No, use the ropes. Use the ropes,
that's right.
Too.
Yeah, ref catches him. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, if Roode really wants out of this damn match, why doesn't he just boot the referee in the balls? And sure enough, that's what he did. I thought too soon. So Jeff hits twist of fate, ref calls for the bell, Roode is DQ'd. So the fans start chanting, "We want Sting," which based on television, the last 4 weeks, and everything else, it's like this spot is built to get the fans to chant, "We want Sting," so Sting comes out and demands the match continue.
Yep. Well, he's going to demand it continue on Thursday.
That's right. We might get another 5 more minutes match on Thursday on Impact.
We'll get the no DQ match, and then they'll go like 5 minutes. Yeah.
What an ending this was! My God, 2 in a row.
Yeah. No, this one was worse.
Yeah, this one was worse actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. Well, what can you say? They're sitting there trying to figure out a way to drive their pay-per-view base, which is pretty damn small to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, pay-per-view is becoming a very tough industry when you do good shows. And why would you put on shows that is actively trying to drive them away and tell them that they're fools for buying the show?
What's funny is even 4 or 5 months ago, for some reason I always had 4 people over for TNA. It's the weirdest thing. People would call and go, "Hey, are you getting the TNA show today?"
That is the weirdest thing. I'm sorry.
I know, but you know what? Not a soul here. I texted. I mean, I was desperate for people to watch this show with me, and it's nah. Even Vinny's like, "Do I have to watch this show?" And I was like, "Dude, just stay home." Nobody wanted to watch this show.
Can you imagine? I mean, think about this. As long as I've been a fan, okay, and there's a pay-per-view. I mean, it's really. I don't want to say. It's come to the point where it's actually there was a time where I would look forward to all the pay-per-views, and then a time where I would look forward to some of the pay-per-views, and then some of the other ones it's okay, I might want to have something else to do, but it is my job. But I wasn't mad about it. It was just kind of okay, it's kind of getting in the way of something, right? Then it got to the point where why am I having to watch this? Then it's then on this one. It's I didn't hate these matches. I mean, I actually thought that the first couple matches on the show were all right, but it was I'm watching it with this mentality of they're trying to drive me away, but because it's my work, I have to stay till the bitter end. I got to be when they get down to 15 people ordering their pay-per-view, I'm going to be one of those 15.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of bad in that way. And
Yes.
the worst part too is so right when this is over, because I'm deprived and depraved of good wrestling. I start watching the Tokyo Dome show from Wednesday, I guess. Wednesday morning's Tokyo show. Wednesday night's Tokyo Dome show. Wednesday morning our time. The first 2 matches on that show are 10 times better than anything on this show.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. But it's I'm enjoying. It's for there's people who go oh, he doesn't like pro wrestling anymore or something like that. It's I watch that show and it's I love pro wrestling, but damn if I hate stupid pro wrestling.
Yeah.
and why it's life is too short to be watching these shows by these people who are trying to actively make you not be a wrestling fan. It's do people when they write I don't know, write books or something, do they make you want to hate books? Is that in their mind, I'm going to write this book and make this guy never want to read another book the rest of his life?
Yeah.
Or feel like an absolute fool for
Especially
reading.
a book that I wrote. I'm going to make sure he never wants to read one of my books again.
Yeah, they're giving you material for another book.
Sure.
Jeez, anyway, let's get on to something else, because I really don't...
Impact opened with Bobby Roode coming out. Started running his mouth about how he was a dominant champion and the greatest. Said he had beaten James Storm, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy. He said Jeff Hardy failed on, quote, the biggest night of your career. I realize that they don't want to come out and say that they are the number 2 company, but this lie was so big, it just made them look stupid.
It was a blatant lie.
Yeah. He called out Jeff so that Jeff could shake his hand. Sting came out instead in a long-sleeved striped T-shirt. This looked like he was not aware he was going to be on television. This is prime sitting on the couch watching TV fashion. He came to the ring and they shouted at each other for a while, and Sting eventually booked a title rematch for tonight.
Mm-hmm. He even mentioned tonight for free. I think actually that was today. But I was like, yep, tonight for free. That is correct.
The middle finger to those of you who watch the show.
That would be me.
Yeah. Did not make me regret my decision.
He
wasn't really a decision, but
Sting announced that Roode deserved a spanking.
The crowd chanted, I believe, spank his butt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then we had something astounding. Where is Direct Auto Insurance a national deal or a local national
I've never
deal?
heard of them until they started advertising on iMPACT.
I've got to find out because,
Apparently they have offices.
well,
Here's what happened, everyone. Matt Morgan went to the Direct Auto Insurance office so that he could pay his car insurance bill. Let's stop right there. When was the last time you had to drive somewhere to pay your bill? To be honest, when I was in college, I would do this because I just to avoid dealing with stamps. It was easier for me to stop by on the way from home from school. But I was in the minority then, and I don't do it no more. Now I can do it on my phone or laptop. Not Matt Morgan. He drives. Now, as he is driven to the Direct Auto Insurance office to pay his bill, as he's walking in the door, who is walking out but of all the people in Orlando, Crimson, his World Championship Tag Team partner.
Yeah.
Crimson thanked Morgan for the tip. They talked about what great value direct what the hell is it called? Is it direct car insurance?
I think it was Direct Auto Insurance.
Direct auto insurance?
Not sure.
And Morgan talked about all the money they had saved him and his wife.
Which, by the way, tells you how effective these commercials are.
They said
Direct Auto, is it Direct Car?
Direct auto sounds right. So they agreed. They had a match later against Rob Terry and Robbie E. They were not concerned. And they went their separate ways. And then a big giant disclaimer appeared on the bottom of the screen. This is a paid endorsement, everyone.
This was like the cheapest thing I've ever seen on a Major League Wrestling show.
It was, there was worse on this show, believe it or not. But, this screamed rinky-dink.
Yeah.
Rob Terry and Robbie E. versus Crimson and Morgan. What a horrible 1 minute this was.
They did a spot where I'm trying to explain or even conceive of what happened. But somehow, like, Crimson did an ankle pick or something. I shouldn't even use that term because that's doing a disservice to anyone who's ever wrestled. He grabbed his foot, and
Robbie E. was on his belly.
He fell down and ended up on his belly. And if you've ever seen a tag match where, like, one guy is trying to get to his corner, but the other guy is holding his boot so he can't get there, and the guy's, like, in push-up position, and he's got one leg on the ground, and the other leg's being held like the old wheelbarrow gimmick, and he's desperately trying to get to his corner. Crimson had Robbie E's foot as Robbie E is desperately trying to get to the corner. And the two keys are, in this 1 minute match, he held on his foot for, I swear to God, about 30 seconds of the match, and nothing happened. Robbie E is grasping and grasping, and Crimson is holding his foot. And Robbie E is grasping and grasping and grasping, and Crimson is holding his foot. And Robbie E grasps further as Crimson holds his foot. And I'm like, do something! And even better, Robbie E is the heel. So it's not like the heels are preventing the babyface from making the dramatic hot tag. The babyface is holding the heel. And on top of that, and keep in mind, this is one spot in a 1 minute match that went about 30 seconds. On top of that, the corner that Robbie E is grasping for is the wrong corner.
Yeah.
He is grasping at Matt Morgan.
Who is not his partner.
I watched this twice trying to figure out what in the hell were they thinking.
It's actually even better because he's reaching, and then somehow Rob Terry gets involved, and then Morgan came in without our tag anyway, and the champions won in a quite terrible squash match.
This was like, had this gone more than a minute, this would have set standards never to be, what happens? Never to be, topped. So
then Samoa Joe and Magnus ran down.
It's late, everyone.
The pay-per-view match was the start of their feud, apparently. They attacked the champs and beat them up for a bit. Then we got what had to be literally an entire quarter hour devoted to Garrett Bischoff.
Mm-hmm.
There was a long-ass video package. iMPACT never does video packages. We've noticed this before. They never recap any history. They assume that you have been watching forever and paying attention forever and taking copious notes forever. When something comes along so important that they want to show you what has happened in case you missed a show along the way, it is the story of Garrett Bischoff.
Yep.
So after all this, then Eric Bischoff came out, compared himself to Eddie Van Halen, talked about how he had made millions and millions and millions of dollars building the largest company in the world. But then it was a scorched earth policy where he ruined careers of everyone behind him. And because of this, Garrett had no friends.
Yeah, that's what he said.
His point was that Garrett Bischoff was blackballed because Eric Bischoff had fucked over so many people. I swear to God, that's what he said. Garrett eventually came out. He claimed that he had friends.
It was actually a great interview by Bischoff because he's talking about how he made millions of dollars when Garrett was a kid. He reinvented the business, he said. He built a company to be the number one company on planet Earth, which, by the way, at one point WCW was.
Sure.
And he said, I made it look easy.
He did say that.
He made it look so much harder than I think it is. And then when talking about scorching the earth, he said he destroyed anything and everything that did not benefit me. And I was like, so WCW did not benefit you, or did it? Because you sure destroyed that there at the end. Anyway, Garrett came out and talked about bridge burning and said he hadn't burned his bridges and he wasn't going anywhere and he was proud to be a wrestler and Gunner had taken him out, but by God, he came back and he'd keep coming back again and again. And then he kind of shoved Bischoff into the corner, and Bischoff was left boiling.
The other key about this, well, the two keys. One was that Garrett mentioned that he had a new trainer, and Eric would be stunned to find out who this man was. So there's a new storyline. Who's training Garrett? And the other key here is that the crowd do not care about any of this. It's Garrett Bischoff. Why should they? Had clips of Winter and Angelina walking backstage. They established that even though they are all heels, these two women are not fans of Gail Kim. We then had our second video recap package, this time recapping the Eric Young ODB relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Winter versus ODB. It was a match. It was fine. Eric did some comedy. It was less offensive than usual. Angelina tried to interfere. He put her in an airplane spin and then acted dizzy and fell out of the ring.
4 people in the ring in front of the referee, not a DQ.
God, who cares? I got more important shit to worry about. ODB hit Winter with a TKO. Mike Tenay said this move was called the Bam, and we were about to see why. And the ref counted 3, and I still didn't know why.
Because she landed with the BAM!
I see. Did the AJ Styles segment make any sense to you?
With Kazarian?
Yeah.
Well, here's what I got out of it.
All right.
Somehow, Daniels has, like, a secret or something about Kazarian.
Yeah.
AJ wanted to know why Kazarian had turned on him, and Kazarian said, I can't tell you. And then Chris Daniels came out, and he tried to explain that AJ was a loser, and Kazarian figured it out, and so he went with Daniels, a winner. And Kazarian wanted to say something, but Daniels commanded he go to the back. So the mystery is, what does Daniels know
I'm so glad you got anything out of what Daniels said.
about Kazarian?
I literally had no idea what he was talking about at any point. All right, thank you. Thank God you're here. You
Maybe
translated
the
Impact for
secret
me.
is that, listen, Kazarian, your wife screwed Eric Bischoff twice to try to get the job as the head of the knockout division, and then he gave it to Karen Jarrett. What a loser you are. And Kaz said, oh my God, is that storyline? You can't tell anybody that. And Daniel said, okay, you must go with me.
I have no better explanation.
Sure.
We had what I eventually determined was a great segment with Bully Ray and Robert Roode.
This ended up awesome.
Bully Ray wanted to plug trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's all he wanted to talk about.
I was trending on Twitter on Saturday night. He said, worldwide.
Worldwide.
Even in Canada, he said.
Yes, and Robert Roode said, well, that's great. Meanwhile, I have a title match against Jeff Hardy tonight. What are we going to do? And Bully Ray said, I don't know what we're going to do, but it's going to end up trending on Twitter.
Yes.
This pattern repeated.
He said
several times.
He said, don't worry about Sting. He's never been trending on Twitter.
Yes.
At which point Roode said, this is not about Twitter. This is about Sting. This segment was awesome.
This is the best satire in pro wrestling in forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Finally, Bully Ray told Roode not to worry, I have your back, but you owe me a favor. He wanted a title shot, and Roode reluctantly agreed. He needed someone to have his back. And then finally they gave each other their catchphrase, their greeting, their slogan, but they turned to each other and they said, Kaz and Aj.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I'm pretty sure this is the best part of the show, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. James Storm came down to the ring.
Actually, the main event was...
That was a pretty good match.
Significantly better than the main event of the pay-per-view, by the way.
Good to hear. Storm came down to the ring. He called out Angle. He wants a rematch with Angle. Angle said, no, I'm on to bigger and better things like the World Championship. Sting came out. He said they had each won one match, so now they're going to have the rubber match right now, with the winner being next in line for a title shot. Angle wrestled Storm.
Now, hold on a second.
Mm-hmm.
So, Angle showed up in jeans and a T-shirt, and he said it was his day off, he had no gear, and he wasn't going to work.
He said he came to visit his buddies.
So then 5 minutes later, when he was forced to work, somehow he had gear?
Sure. Always bring your gear, kid.
That makes no sense.
Yeah. What are you going to do? Kurt Angle and James Storm. There's times when, Kurt Angle will whip out his belly-to-belly suplex or something else, and he still looks old, like the old Kurt Angle, and there's sometimes when he just looks like he's in his mid-60s.
Dude, you should have seen the pay-per-view. This guy is just... He is a shell.
Yeah.
And obviously there's... Here's the deal. Part of this is he's trying not to get hurt because he actually is training to try to make the Olympics, which he's not going to do. But I don't even know why he's bothering to wrestle.
I don't either.
Because he's out there, he can't move, he can't work like he used to work. It's sad watching him out there right now. It's not doing anybody any favors. Like, the whole thing with James Storm is like, okay, well, you get there with James Storm and you make him look good. We're trying to build up James Storm for Bobby Roode, so it's your idea, it's your deal to go in there and make him look good. But instead, Kurt Angle is going in there, and because of whatever's going on, he's not making James Storm look good. And therefore, you're getting Kurt Angle matches are no good. It's not helping James Storm. Kurt Angle looks sad and old and broken down. The whole thing is just depressing. The pay-per-view was like, you were sad here. You should have seen the pay-per-view.
Sounds like I really shouldn't have. But James Storm won here with a super kick. So now he's the top contender to Robert Roode's world title. For now.
And boy, what a big deal they made about that.
Yeah, revenge on his former tag team partner, and they didn't care. Then we got the most, in many ways, jaw-dropping segment of the show. Brooke Tessmacher appeared on the screen, alerting us that her name was Brooke Adams, and she works at Hooters in Houston.
Yeah.
My first thought here was that I need to book a flight to Houston, go eat at Hooters, and then fly back home.
All right. Let me tell you a little bit about this first. The reality is, it's not as bad as it sounds. Because Hooters has a Hooters girl contest every year that apparently is like a pretty big deal. I guess she's attempting to become Miss Hooters 2012 or something. But the point is, you're only allowed to do this contest if you actually work at a Hooters. So, in order to try to qualify and win the Miss Hooters contest, she has a side job at Hooters. However, nobody watching this show has any idea that that's the case. All they know is that this woman that's supposed to be a famous superstar on a show where the wrestlers are talking about how, and keep in mind, one of the wrestlers is Robert Roode, whose gimmick is that he has millions. Robert Roode saved $600 last year on his car insurance with Direct Auto.
After he forgot to pay his bill.
He let
his policy slip. That was it.
So on a show where we know that the world champion, who supposedly is a millionaire, actually just let his policy lapse on his car, we also know that Brooke Tessmacher is, in fact, just a girl that works at Hooters. This was an astonishing little segment here.
Yeah. Sting met with Madison Rayne. She wants to be VP of the Knockouts. She explained that any job Sting needed doing, she could do.
I get it.
Yeah. Sting rejected her, and he booked her in a cage match against Mickie James next week. And we have the main event, Jeff Hardy versus Robert Roode.
I got a question for everybody. Actually, it's a question for anybody that actually goes to the Impact Zone regularly. I realize that, like in a lot of interview segments and in some of the matches, there's a lot of crowd sweetening, sometimes like a ridiculous amount. However, why is it that the crowd is so much more into television than pay-per-view when they take place in the same building in front of presumably the exact same fans? Pay-per-views have the most pathetic crowds. The crowds are so dead. Not this show, but the show before was absolutely killed by the crowd. And here I am watching this show, and yeah, maybe some of it is crowd sweetening, but they're doing near falls in this match, and like you can look in the crowd and see people jumping up and down and cheering and going nuts. Why did they do that here and not at the pay-per-view? I, honest to God, don't understand. You know, it's one of those things whenever people say you got to get out of the Impact Zone, you got to get out of the Impact Zone. It's like, listen, there have been companies that have run the same building for decades, okay? And I watched this show here, and these fans were just fine for this main event. Why aren't they fine for pay-per-view? It's more than just crowd sweetening, although that helps. I don't understand. It's like sometimes it happens on Raw too. Like a live Raw will have a rematch of a pay-per-view main event, and there's so much more heat for the TV match. I don't know what it is, but that was certainly the case here. This was so much better than their pay-per-view match till the awful finish.
So the early highlight here was Jeff tried what I guess you would say was whisper in the wind into the guardrail, but Roode dodged, and so Jeff's ass hit the guardrail, and he fell upside down over onto his head on the floor. On first viewing, this looked like the stupidest thing this man had ever done. They showed multiple replays. It was not that stupid. It was stupid. Don't get me wrong. But when I first saw this, I thought he had broken everything in his body, whereas, in fact, he probably just broke his tailbone. So that's a plus. So it turned into a heck of a match. The crowd was into all the near falls. This was the best thing on the show. And finally, Jeff missed a senton. Roode made a cover, and Jeff kicked out. And then Jeff fired back, and he hit, in quick succession, a stunner, a twist of fate, and another senton. He went to make the cover. The crowd was totally into it, thinking he was going to regain his belt. And the ref counted 1, the ref counted 2, and then Bully Ray pulled the ref out of the ring. He booted the ref in the face. And Jeff Hardy took out both heels, and they played his music, and that's how the show ended.
Another bad finish. What a title reign Bobby Roode has had. It's not even. Here's the thing that's most infuriating about it. How many segments on this show was Sting on?
4 or 5.
2 months ago on pay-per-view, they did the match, the Iron Man match that went to a draw, and everybody chanted for Sting, and there was no Sting. So all of us had paid $44.95. Show just went off the air with no finish. Of course, there's Sting on TV the next Thursday to sign a 5 more minutes match. So then at the pay-per-view Sunday night, they do a screw job finish in the main event, and the fans are all rabidly chanting for Sting after the match. Sting, Sting, Sting. No Sting. But hey, Sting's there on TV to make it right on Thursday on the free show. Never mind the $44.95 that I spent, and I didn't get Sting to come out and rule this match must continue. No, that happened on TV for free. And then, even here on the TV show, when we got another screw job finish, in a match where at the beginning of the show, Sting signs a match, and he makes sure an hour later to come out and say, you know what, Roode, if you get yourself intentionally disqualified, then Jeff Hardy gets the belt. He went to a lot of time and effort to try to make this match and to make this match work. And then you have a screw job finish and no Sting. Nowhere to be found. I presume he'll be there next week on free television. But these finishes are just horrendous. They're just horrendous. I can understand having, like, lame finishes on the undercard, but man, oh man, your main event deal, I mean, this is going to turn into go-away heat for Bobby Roode matches, because you never get a finish. You never get a payoff when he's in the ring. There's heel heat, and then there's like, okay, this is lame heat. I'm not going to waste my time heat, which is what this is becoming. You know? The next pay-per-view, you're going to promise a Bobby Roode match, and you've just given us 3 straight matches with no finish.
Yeah.
Who's buying that show?
I don't know.
Morons!
Yeah, tards. Not supposed to say that. Morons.
That's right. All right, let's play one last song. This Impact was, till the finish, much better Impact than usual. But they got to do something about these main event finishes.
Remember like a month ago, maybe 2, when there was like back-to-back good Impacts? Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
Yeah, it sure was.
Just wanted to say that.
I don't know what's happened. But one of these days, folks. All right, let's talk about Impact here. This was not a bad show, I thought. Although as I go through this here, maybe I'll change my mind. Open up with James Storm coming out to talk about the new, how he was the new number 1 contender for the TNA title. And he was going to take on Bobby Roode at Against All Odds. So apparently the idea of waiting till lockdown is out the window. And Jeff Hardy came out, and he said, I got screwed over at the pay-per-view, and nobody's getting a title shot until I get my final battle, he said. So Roode came out, and he said, listen, you two, last week the announcement was that Jeff Hardy, or James Storm, or whatever the deal was, he said that Storm was supposed to get the winner of my match with Jeff Hardy. But there was no winner, and therefore James Storm doesn't get a match. Faulty logic, apparently. So Sting came out, and he announced there was going to be a number 1 contenders match, Storm versus Hardy, and the winner of that match was going to get the match with Bobby Roode. And the only problem with this segment was the giant logical of how many matches have we seen with Bobby Roode where Bobby Roode has cheated for the finish? He has either, we had the low blow finish. We had the deal where Bully Ray pulled the ref out of the ring. So why didn't Sting have some sort of guarantee that Robert Roode or Bully Ray would not get involved? Why did he not sign a no DQ match, or this match must have a winner? I mean, as soon as he signed the match, I knew, okay, well, without even reading the spoilers, you're guaranteed. You know that there's going to be no finish to the match. And, in fact, there was not. So, in the end, Sting kind of looked like an idiot. We had Angelina doing a promo, and she talked about how Eric Young had given her airplane spin last week, and she said, I want a match with you tonight. And she told him to come alone. Do not bring your boyfriend, ODB, she said. This is a pretty infuriating segment, not going to lie. Gunner beat AJ Styles. I really like Gunner. Oh, this was a good match. Ric Flair was obviously there with Gunner. They did their match, went about 5 minutes. Daniels and Kazarian came out, and Daniels told Kazarian to go over there and cost AJ the match, which he did. He clotheslined him behind the ref's back, and then Gunner got the pin with his DDT. And Kazarian was very sad to have done what he did. But Daniels said, well, that's what you got to do. So I like Gunner. And I guess we'll see where this goes. We had Gunner, by the way, afterwards, going to hit the DDT on the floor with Styles. Kazarian was going to go help him, but Daniel said nope. And so Styles ended up jumping the rail and running to safety. So there you go. We had Magnus backstage talking to Crimson. And I have turned the corner on... Well, I've been a big fan of Magnus and Joe. But Magnus in particular during this segment was awesome. Crimson is trying to bully him, and Magnus was right there in his face, and he essentially was just like, okay, whatever you say, you big jacked up goofball, and held his own, and he was awesome, just awesome. So they were about to fight, and Joe and Morgan broke it up. We had an awesome segment with two great men, Sting and Bully Ray, where Bully Ray came out and demanded a shot at the world title. Now, first off, last week, Bully Ray interfered in Robert Roode's match, and then this week, he interfered in the main event as well. So, clearly he is an ally with Robert Roode, correct? At which point, the obvious question is, well, why does he want a championship match against Bobby Roode? Anyway, I don't know the answer. He cut a promo on Sting and ran him down, and Sting, of course, ended up cutting a promo on him and saying, listen, I am the boss, you are the employee. Next time you want to talk to me, make an appointment. And Bully was appalled, and he didn't know why he had to make an appointment with this man. And Sting ended up getting in his face, pulling his glasses up, staring at him, slapped him in the chest, and then said, this is what I thought, and walked away. Bully backed down, and this was awesome. This was great. Crimson beat Magnus. Do not ask why. Crimson is one half of the tag team champions. I realize they're doing the undefeated streak gimmick, which is, I can't even say it's run its course, because it was never actually over, and nobody actually ever cared. But if these guys are the tag team champions, and they're trying to build Brutus Magnus and Samoa Joe as challengers, why did Crimson beat Magnus in 1 minute here? I do not have an answer, but he did. So then Joe did a run-in, and he laid out Crimson, and Matt Morgan ran down and ended up beating him up as well. Magnus gave him his flying elbow. And again, I don't know. So they're going to get a championship match because they beat up the team, even though in a straight match, one member beat the other member. I suppose next week Joe could beat Morgan, but this was a baffling finish here. They could have done a DQ maybe. I don't know. But Crimson beating your supposed one half of the number one contenders in a minute with his move. That was lame. We had wackiness with Eric Young outside. He was standing in front of a semi that had the Bellator poster on the side of it. And there was a lady from catering that walked by, and he kept talking to her about how she fought for Bellator and called her Mrs. Cyborg at one point. And then ODB came up and wished him luck, and they did their thing together. And I've seen worse. I was not enamored. They had this Garrett Bischoff training video, which is, it was so hilariously wacky because he's like in an MMA or a boxing gym. It's probably like a boxing gym, I guess, because he had the big gloves on. But he's got these gloves on, and he's hitting the bags, and he's doing the rope gimmick where you hold a rope in both hands and you whack it up and down, and he's doing all of this. He's doing training like he's gonna do boxing or mixed martial arts. So he's doing all of this training, and then they cut to another shot, and men are running at him like in an old kung fu movie. He's taking on 5 men. But, of course, the 5 men don't all rush him at the same time. No. The 5 men stand there, and one guy runs at him. He takes him down with a pro wrestling headlock takeover. Another man runs at him. He gives him a drop toe hold. Another man runs. It was so... The idea that he's doing hardcore, serious, legit martial arts training, and then all of a sudden is doing pro wrestling moves at the same gym, I just thought that was so awesome. And it was a pretty good video. And he's going to be the next, I don't know. We'll see what they do. He's going to get a big, giant, massive push this year. So be ready for it. And I don't know. I've seen Sons of the Boss that were a hell of a lot worse than Garrett Bischoff at this point. But he's also in the ring. He is not ready to be a main eventer yet. And it's going to be a long time, especially not training at Ohio Valley. So we'll see how it goes. We had Madison freaking out backstage and shrieking, and Gail Kim told her to stop. Thank God. Then we had a match. Mickie James versus Madison in a cage match. I don't like to be lewd on this show, but I am a reporter. And there was a spot in this cage match where Mickie James did the old, she put the boot on Madison's throat in the corner and was doing the splits. And as God is my witness, her vagina was hanging out. Probably on the board at this point, for all I know. But I watch these shows in HD, and that was a vagina. So she needs to deal with this issue. They had a match. It was pretty good, all things considered. It did go way too long. It kind of, I think it went like 13 minutes. After about 7, it's time to go home. But she ended up hitting her jumping DDT for the pin. And that was that. I have seen significantly worse, but I know they want the women to draw ratings. I know they want big quarter hours after the women, but sometimes you don't need to go 13 minutes. And by sometimes, I mean pretty much never. We had Aries doing a promo backstage saying he was so entertaining that telling us that he was going to come out to tell us something was entertaining. I think he might have said it better than I did right there, but I'm not sure. We had a goofy segment backstage. We have Tara, Velvet, and Mickie James, and they're all just BFFs. And they're giggling, and they're laughing, and they're slapping hands. They all want the title. But they left afterwards together to... I think it was Tara said, let's go get some champagne, and Mickie was excited, and then as they leave, Velvet turns to the camera and goes, shots! So there you go. Hardy did a promo. The Roode has owned this man. HD TV, everybody. He said he deserved a payoff. He was talking about the title. Aries came out, and he's talking about how awesome he is. He's the greatest man who ever lived. He's beaten everybody in the X division. Perhaps he'll retire with the belt, he said, because there's no one left. Out comes Alex Shelley, who has been gone forever. Got a big pop. He now has like a mohawk that is not spiked straight up. It's kind of parted to the side, and it's bleached blonde. It is, if nothing else, a unique look. And he cut a promo, and he said, I blew out my shoulder, and I was out for a long time, and I came back to reunite the Motor City Machine Guns. And in our first week back, Chris Sabin blew out his ACL and his MCL, and the Machine Guns aren't going to be back till 2012. And he said, I see you on television. I see you with this title. It drives me nuts that there's a douchebag holding our belt. And I called my partner, and I said, do you mind if I come back and challenge Alex Shelley for the belt? And Chris Sabin said yes. And so he challenged him for the title, and Aries essentially said, I'll give you a shot, but you got to earn it. He said, go back there and pick any of the guys I've beaten, and when you beat them, I'll give you a shot. And Aries said, Shelley said, I'll do one better. You pick any of these guys, and I will beat them, and then I will challenge you for the title at the pay-per-view. I did not do justice to this segment. These two guys were awesome in this segment. They were absolutely awesome. And I guess we'll see. I haven't even read the spoilers. I don't even know who was chosen. But, yeah, this was great. And this will be a great match, a great singles match at the next pay-per-view. So this was a double thumbs-up segment. ODB was backstage. Said he couldn't wait for Eric to tear Angelina in half. And at that point, Winter came up and beat the crap out of her, hit her with a pipe, and whipped her with a belt and left her laying. This led to Eric Young versus Angelina Love. The usual Eric Young, quote, comedy. He tried to wrestle the referee. The referee said, no, you must wrestle the girl. He went to ringside and locked up with fans poorly. He rolled back into the ring and tried to lock up with the referee again. And finally, after being a complete clown for a full minute, she kicked him in the balls for the disqualification. Down he went, and the girls beat him up. He looked like the absolute biggest dork. Trying to say it like Vinny there, but I was unable to. The absolute biggest geek. The absolute biggest doofus. So they stomp a mud hole in him, and ODB runs down to make the save. And after clearing the ring, her and Eric Young shared a big kiss. She tried to eat his face off. It was unacceptable. And then they left arm in arm. And TNA called them Impact's favorite couple, I believe. Wrong. Incorrect, that statement. James Storm said that it was time to prove that he could be the World Heavyweight Champion of this damn company, he said. Perhaps they've already forgotten that he has already been the World Heavyweight Champion of this damn company. A couple months ago, actually. And then finally that led to the main event, which was James Storm and Jeff Hardy in a match that shockingly went to a no contest when Bully Ray just ran in and beat up the referee. Had a pretty good match. It wasn't anything special, but they worked hard. Fans were into it. They got some time. So after Bully Ray attacked them, Earl Hebner ran down. Bully Ray beat him up. He continued attacking the babyfaces. And Sting then finally ran down with a baseball bat, and he cleared the ring. And that was that. Roode said, I have proven that I am the World Heavyweight Champion. The result of this match is a no contest. I guess believing this meant that he wasn't going to have a challenger at the pay-per-view, which, I forget what they do in the spoilers. I don't know if they do a three-way or if they injure Jeff or what happened, or if this is the injury or what the deal is. But I always thought the whole idea was a long-term build to the Robert Roode James Storm singles match, and it appears they've decided against doing that, and I hope it is not because of James Storm's matches with Kurt Angle, because I cannot blame James Storm for those matches. Kurt Angle is not himself, so to speak, in the ring, and what can you do? So that was Impact, everybody. Again, I have seen worse, I have seen better, but TNA is, I can't even say they were skewered. They were just largely ignored.
Yeah.
One category after another. And if it was an award based on something good,
Yes.
such as Show of the Year, Match of the Year, Star of the Year, or whatever, TNA was absolutely, completely unrepresented.
Right.
If it was something
As it
such
should
as
be.
worst announcer, worst show, etc., wow, TNA was all over the place. And there has been, I did see one guy on the board who cared.
Was it Jeff Jarrett?
But quite frankly, it appears nobody else cares at all. It's just a sad state of affairs. Especially when you consider that, like, and granted, the awards period starts in, or ends in the end of November, so really, Impact having improved in October or so, well, that means nothing, because that's a year of horror that is not going to be made good with 2 good months of television. But still, a few years ago, TNA represented poorly in the awards. Everybody would be talking about it. Maybe not everybody, but it would at least be a talking point. Like, my God, look at how poorly TNA did in the awards this year. My God, look at this. My God. Now this year it's just like, I don't even know if anybody even noticed. Because I don't think anyone expected TNA to take home any positive awards. I can't decide if it's like sad or just, I don't think it's really even sad.
No.
I don't even know if anyone in TNA cares. They just exist. Everyone makes their money. Some of them try. Many of them don't care.
Yeah.
I didn't think the show was all that bad.
I have seen many episodes of Impact worse than this show.
Yeah, it was fine.
But
again, it's fine by Impact standards.
I can't think of a single person on the roster who would be a candidate for any award, frankly. Even a lot of the worsts were taken. No announcer here is as bad as Michael Cole.
Yeah, but you know what? When we were doing the show, I think it was Bruce brought up, as far as like most charismatic, somebody brought up, they were like, James Storm is actually very charismatic. And it was like, God, you're right. But I never would have thought of voting for him. What does that tell you? And I watch the show every single week, and when reviewing the show, I praise it. And you know what the difference is? I figured it out as I was speaking right there. It's because, I've said this a million times, people always think that, like, I have high blood pressure, I'm going to have a heart attack because I freak out over Impact sometimes. But you know what? That's not the case. I watch the show, I kind of snicker to myself, or I make a comment here or there. Then I go on the air, and for an hour, I eviscerate the show. And then, like, the moment I say, talk to you again after a while, I don't ever think of that show again until the next week. I don't go to bed thinking about Impact. I have never in my entire life been unable to sleep due to Impact. Lance has. Lance has stayed up nights. Not me. I go to bed and I sleep the sleep of the angels. I don't think of this stuff. I never think of Impact except when I'm doing this show. And that's probably why, when it came time to do the awards, when the option was most charismatic, James Storm never even entered my mind. That's kind of sad. So anyway, you may proceed with the review.
In other news, the people putting Impact together are wasting a lot of talent. That's what it comes down to.
That's news?
That's my point, is that your rant there for the past 5 minutes was like self-evident.
Yeah, of
course. It's like doing a rant on how the sky is blue sometimes.
Sure.
So.
I got a great one for their 10th anniversary, but I'm saving it.
Well, thank goodness.
I have an analogy to beat all analogies.
Can you give us a hint?
No.
All right. Show opened with clips of beatdowns that I missed last week.
Go on.
You ninny.
I was thinking about it in the car, and then I totally forgot it. But I'll remember it again when I'm also tired. Go on.
They then cut straight to Jeff Hardy and Bully Ray brawling. Like everything else in Impact, it went too long. We could hear random crowd noises, but no commentary. They fought and fought and fought and fought and fought and fought. No one there thought to interfere or break it up or help one guy or another. A truck arrived, and Bobby Roode hopped out to help Bully Ray.
Yeah, he was driving a truck.
He drove in, perhaps from home. He saw Bully Ray was having trouble, got in his truck, drove to the building, jumped out to help, and in that time, the fight was still going on. James Storm showed up. There was still no talking in any of this. They just fought and fought and fought. Bully Ray ended up bleeding somehow. Finally, Sting showed up with a baseball bat to break it up. This went like 7 minutes. It was boring.
You know what's amazing? I never noticed this until today. I first noticed it on SmackDown about 2 weeks ago. Kane, or no, it wasn't Kane. Who was it? It was somebody on SmackDown. There was a brawl, and they ended up back. I think it was probably Sheamus and Wade Barrett. Who was it that had that big brawl backstage a couple of weeks ago?
Could have been them.
Or no, you know what? It was Orton and Barrett, because Orton got thrown down the stairs.
Yes.
Okay, anyway. So I'm watching it, and I'm thinking, man, these guys are stiff. And then all of a sudden, it hit me like a ton of feathers, which in fact weighs as much as a ton of bricks. They edit in sound effects during their you ever notice that?
No.
When somebody throws a punch, somebody in post-production goes every time they hit each other, just like in a movie. And I all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I never noticed that before. But every time they brawl, they edit in sound effects. If somebody hits somebody with a pipe, they edit in the sound effect of a pipe. If somebody hits somebody, they edit in the sound of flesh hitting flesh.
I noticed it with the bell before.
The bell, yeah, it's another one.
That's obvious.
But it suddenly struck me, and I was like, why not? It's a television show taped on Tuesday, and it makes the brawls more believable, so why not? And that's what really hit me on Impact, when there were no sound effects when these men punch each other. There was just the sound of Bully Ray going, huh, huh. And I was like, this is lame. So, yes, they don't edit out mistakes on the taped show, nor do they edit in sound effects.
Nope.
And I plan on going back and editing out that sound effect that I made, by the way.
That is a wise decision on your part. That way, put in 2 drops that will make you look foolish. We had a match. Velvet Sky versus Tara versus Mickie James. All the women in this match, and in fact all the women on the show, were looking fine. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I just missed a show and that made me forget how hot these women are, or if they just looked hotter than normal, but wow. This was preceded, by the way, there's a Shop TNA commercial that had like Velvet throwing flower petals in slow motion, but more importantly, it had Robbie E. fist pumping in slow motion. This was so great, I wanted to go to Shop TNA and buy something immediately, just to support this man.
Well, go for it.
Sadly, I have a show to review. So they had a 3-way. They did some stuff, wrestled around for a while. 3 baby faces, so no one cared that much. And then finally, Mickie was down on the mat. Tara picked Velvet up and in the most awkward and dangerous and reckless manner possible, slammed her on top of Mickie and then pinned her for the win. This looked like it sucked.
Basically kind of gave her a TKO onto her. Looked like poor Mickey popped her right boob.
That's sad.
That's no good, I've been told.
I went to TNAshop.com. The domain TNAshop.com may be for sale by its owner. Perhaps there's a different TNA shop.
Shop TNA.
Shop TNA.
Goofball.
My fault. That's my fault. All right.
Do they still have the thing where everything is 1 cent off on sale?
You can purchase the latest MP3s. There's an under $5 section. A brown bag special. That took me to nothing. Oh, here we go. You can get the iMPACT Wrestling Reflections 2012 trading cards, a 20-pack hobby box for, do you have a guess?
$500.
$99.88.
$99.88?
That's what it says.
Is it 11 cents off?
I don't know. There's a Jeff Hardy scarf on sale for $13.49.
Because Jeff Hardy's well known for wearing scarves. Are they talking about the ones that come out of his back pocket?
This is much fancier than those.
Really?
He just has like a snot rag back there. The James Storm trucker hat. A TNA Legends Terry Taylor action figure. I am not making that up.
TNA Legend.
I swear to God, that's
Terry
on here.
Taylor.
You know what's even funnier? It's $8. We got
I can't take any more of
a
this.
picture of Velvet Sky as a skeleton.
What more could...
$100!
Wait a second.
It's marked down to $75.
Now I need to go to shop.
I swear to God. And there's one of Jeff Hardy as a skeleton. That I can see.
Why would you buy a skeletal...
She does still have boobs. Don't ask me.
That's obviously not in the brown bag special.
Actually, that's where I clicked to get down here. I just started scrolling down.
Really?
Go down a page or two. There are pictures of celebrities. It is Rob Van Dam, Velvet Sky. Who would buy this? That's an excellent question.
What page are you on?
I clicked brown bag special.
Somehow I clicked that and it took me to latest MP3s.
Scroll down.
And why not?
Scroll down.
I'm on the MP3s, homie. Oh, there we go. Under 5. Doesn't say brown bag special. I'll look at under $5. Jeff Hardy Resurrected, 99 cents. Have we done this before?
We did. It was funny then, too. There is a Velvet Sky men's category. Oh, it's just her t-shirt in a men's fit.
Oh, this is better. Oh, my. Wholesale information. We have an attractive pricing structure that begins with a small minimum order of 5 items. We could fill this in here and we could buy a bunch of wholesale TNA merchandise.
Oh. Okay. All right. Stop the show. I have found the ultimate. The Velvet Sky men's t-shirt page has comments. I shall read a few. I will not read their names, although you can go here and find out if you care. Thank you, TNA, for listening to your fans. I love the shirt. Getting mine either next month or next week. Looks great, by the way. Got it in the mail today. I love the shirt. It feels like Velvet's presence is everywhere when I wear it. I want one, but do not wear anything smaller than a 3X.
Oh, my.
Come on, TNA. Most of the other shirts are available in 3X or bigger. And then there's just a whole thread here. One comment and several replies. Is there any chance of a Velvet shirt in 5XL? Please, please, please. Followed by, thank you. I've complained about this before. iMPACT, look out in your crowd. Quite a few big people. Your other shirts go to 3X at least. Wake up and market to your audience. A third person. I have complained about it also. They sell about every other useless and discontinued shirt in 5X, but we can't get this one? Come on. And then a fourth individual has chimed in. Give the people what they want. We want 5XL shirts. Astounding. This is so much more fun than Impact.
You know, I on this thing here for the merchandise, they have one of those deals where you have to type in the letters so they make sure you're a human.
Okay.
KFCUC.
Well, that almost spells something funny.
You've got to be kidding me.
Christ.
I got to look at this stuff over $50. Lockdown travel package, $549. Oh. All three celebrities. That is, in fact, Velvet Sky as a skeleton.
I don't know who would buy that.
You can buy the TNA heavyweight belt for $2,750. I think we've mentioned that before. Along with $149 baseball bats. I hope Don West is making a killing on this store.
Oh, yeah.
Because he sure deserves it. All right, let's get back going here. I gotta do an airport trip. So.
Okay, so Tara won. Gail was backstage watching. Tara won, so she gets a title shot at the pay-per-view. Gail cut a promo saying she was the most dominant champion ever. She wanted to see who was best, blah, blah, blah. It was a very boring promo. Sting called out the four dudes from the opening brawl so they could all fight more. It went about 14 years, and eventually they booked it as a tag match, and they made it a tables match just cuz.
The babyfaces, asked for a tables match. Nobody was put through a table in the brawl.
No.
The tables match is the gimmick of the other team. I just couldn't understand this, at all.
That's because it makes no sense.
And no one cared.
No. That's the even more important point. Alex Shelley cut a promo talking about how long it's been since he got back in the ring. Talked about fighting Zema Ion tonight. Said he was talented, but he was still green and he was going to beat him.
So was Zema the guy that Austin Aries chose to face?
I missed last week's show, dude.
Oh, yeah.
All I can tell you is that
Alex Shelley had a great interview segment, and the storyline apparently was that Austin Aries was going to choose an opponent for Shelley, and if Shelley beat him, he got the pay-per-view match with Aries at whatever the pay-per-view is. So did you get any of that from watching this as a fan who didn't see last week's show?
No.
I didn't think so.
Okay. Had an Eric Young segment. He was fucking around with a backstage geek. Winter and Angelina tried to come on to him, said they were easy. That's the word they used. Then Angelina threw a knee to his balls, but he had a cup on, so she sold her knee.
A plastic cup hurt her knee.
Yeah. And then ODB arrived.
Huh.
Stupid. Zema Ion versus Alex Shelley. This is like the greatest haircut matchup I ever saw. Shelley, his whole hair is buzzed, short brown hair, except he has grown a mohawk just long enough to comb it over and then dyed it blonde. And Zema Ion, who last I knew had an afro, has now straightened it, and he has sprays it. He comes to the ring with hairspray, applying hairspray to his hair. It's all totally spiked out like every anime character ever, except he's an actual human being. It's fantastic. They had a fun X Division match, and eventually Shelley won with the sliced bread. So I guess he gets to fight Austin Aries now.
I guess. Would have liked more. I'd have liked to have done a better job explaining this story to me, the viewer.
That's because you care.
Unfortunately, yes.
I don't give a shit. AJ talked about how everything has changed, but he vowed to get to the bottom of things. Tara got a promo about the women's title.
Stop immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know there is a video here of Don West selling the celebrities?
No.
I'm going to play it for everyone.
Don West here at Shop TNA, and the time has come. Here I am standing. Just want to show you real quick in my brand new Jeff Hardy t-shirt. This is the one that Jeff Hardy designed himself, now available on Shop TNA.
Oh my God.
Artwork done by Jeff Hardy. Took it on the road, just to let you know, sold it out. #1 seller. Only place you can get it right now, Shop TNA. Order it. Anyway, let's get back to the moment at hand. Folks, it's celebrity time. A lot of you saw the video, and we were waiting to get these framed and waiting to see what we were going to do and if we'd have any available actually to sell to the public. If you remember, Mike LaValle, beautiful, incredible artist, did these celebrities. It's the skeleton-based items. He did, of course, Jeff Hardy, Velvet Sky, and Rob Van Dam. These big paintings you're asking, are they for sale? Not yet. They're somewhere going to be probably somewhere in the $5,000 to $10,000 range when they are available.
What?
But right now, not available yet. In fact, I think Rob and Jeff are negotiating buying their own anyway. And just to let you know, might not happen. But if so, we are going to put them up for bid.
$5,000 to $10,000.
We have the unbelievable limited lithos. These are the exact lithos of the exact paintings. Here's the problem. Only 100 exist.
Oh, my God.
Damme, of Jeff Hardy, and Velvet Sky. Here's the bigger problem. All of the talent, Rob, Velvet, and Jeff, took number 1. That was theirs. Here's another problem. The boys on the roster all wanted these because they're so limited. So the problem I have is we may have about 40 or 50 available, and I'm not even sure of that.
This guy is
available of all
amazing
3 lithos.
Carney.
But here they are. They are framed. They are matted. They are autographed not only by Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy, and Velvet Sky, but they are also hand-numbered by the artist and autographed by Mike LaValle, the artist. Now, Mike LaValle, world-renowned, unbelievably famous. He has done this for everybody from Johnny
famous.
Depp to Jesse James, and I'm not kidding.
Jesse James?
To do it for the TNA Superstars was a pleasure, and it's a first. So these are the first 3 in the series. These 3 will never be duplicated. It is signed, sealed. These are the only 100 that will exist of Velvet Sky, Rob Van Dam, and Jeff Hardy. Now, while my cameraman is showing you the signatures and the numbering and the double signatures, here's the deal. You better get online and order immediately because these celebrities will be sold out. They have done celebrities of everybody from Brad Pitt to Michael Jackson. Folks, this celebrity's the first one's done of Jeff Hardy, Rob Van Dam, and of course, the hottest woman in professional wrestling.
This fool talks for almost 7 minutes about these celebrities, Vince.
Yeah.
Are you going to go buy one?
No.
$300.
Yeah.
$300.
I found the brown bag special.
Yes.
The gimmick is, first of all, there is for this, it has a picture, then there is a video of Don West showing off everything, and then a description, but apparently Don West wrote the description because it is in all caps.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So the gimmick is they take 4 random DVDs, then a random T-shirt, and throw it in a bag. They say it's a $100 value that you get for $25. That is the brown bag special. Oh, and Don West will in fact autograph the bag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I guess there's an action figure in there too.
Good God almighty. What a deal.
The wonders of Shop TNA.
Wow. All right, back to the show. Enough of these free plugs.
Where were we? Tara?
I think we were past Tara.
All right. Eric Bischoff went to find Garrett working out. He said, "Who's this trainer you have?" Garrett looked off to the side. Eric looked off to the side. Eric freaked out and put into the camera down, saying apparently he didn't want the trainer shown on TV.
Someone on Twitter said it was me.
No, it's not.
I don't think it is.
Think he may be in disguise in your jiu-jitsu class?
I don't remember. I don't remember training Garrett.
So that's what we saw. Eric Bischoff got a funny look in his face, an upset look, and he threw the cameraman out of the room, pointing the camera down on the ground, shouting, "Don't film this, don't film this." They go back to the announce desk, and Mike Tenay says, and I quote, "Damn!"
He was very upset.
He was so disappointed about not knowing who Garrett's trainer was. So, we then had Angelina Love and Winter versus Eric Young and ODB. I have a tip, but a friendly advice for the folks in charge at TNA Wrestling. If your network won't allow you to show men fighting women, don't book men to fight women.
That seemed to be a good tip.
That makes sense to me. Eric Young stalled forever, couldn't touch the girls, so he did like cartwheels and he locked up with the ref, and it wasn't funny, but I don't blame him for this one. I don't know what the fuck I would have done in his situation. There was a point where he was locked up with the ref, and Angelina hit him from behind. He responded by dropping his trousers, This seemed like a flagrant threat of sexual assault. Thankfully, that did not happen. ODB came in. They then did a regular tag match, building up to a hot tag they could not do. And finally, they did a double airplane spin spot. So apparently that's the one thing he can do to the women, and they won't get in trouble. And ODB pinned Angelina with a TKO. The point of all this completely escapes me.
I wish we had footage of Vince Russo calling Spike and going, bro, can we please just have the dude do an airplane spin? Because, it's very important.
I'm sure he thinks if he could just show Eric Young hitting girls, they'd be very successful.
Just show Eric punching Angelina in the face. Oh, my God, the ratings we do. Whew.
Yeah. Had footage of Bubba Ray and James Storm, or Roode, excuse me, Robert Roode and Bubba Ray, teasing dissension. Mm-hmm. And Ray is dropping hints that he may want a title shot sooner or later. We had Samoa Joe versus Matt Morgan.
By the way, that reminds me.
Right.
I thought they were holding off Bobby Roode, James Storm till lockdown, which is in April. But we still have February and March, and they're teasing a three-way at the pay-per-view with Roode, Storm, and Hardy. It seems goofy to put Roode and Storm together already and just make it a three-way. So it appeared that Jeff Hardy was injured at the end of today's show and storyline. So perhaps next week they'll injure James Storm and we'll end up with Roode versus Bully for 2 months.
All right.
Just my thought.
Whatever. It doesn't matter what they do. They'll just keep on doing shows. None of it means a thing. Samoa Joe wrestled Matt Morgan.
I have no idea what the point of all of this is. Last week, Crimson faced Magnus and Crimson won. And then this week, Morgan faced Joe and Morgan won.
And this is coming off, by the way, a tag title match where they lost that one too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So Morgan and Crimson won the tag title match, and then they've beaten both men in singles matches. Why in God's name would we ever have another tag team match? This is like just absolutely preposterous booking.
Yeah, so Morgan won here, and then the sore losers laid the champions out. So to recap, they lost a tag match, they lost a singles match, they lost another singles match, they lost 3 in a row to these men, and as they were going up the ramp, Magnus declared, and I'm not making this up, he actually said, "We're one step ahead."
Yeah.
Your steps suck. Speaking of things that suck, after the start of this was fantastic. AJ Styles came out for a promo, and I don't recall visiting Orlando lately, but I think I may have been in the Impact Zone here. AJ asked, "Why would Frankie Kazarian turn his back on me?" And a man in the crowd shouted, "You suck!" So AJ told a story about when he was wrestling Gunner, and the same man shouted, "Gunner sucks!"
Yes.
This was the best part of Impact.
I was dying.
Okay, so
It was so... This is one of those things, just like we were talking about. I can't remember what show I was talking about today, because I've done 4. But on one of the shows today, I was talking about how nobody buys anything anymore.
no,
It's all just
phony.
Stupid.
It's phony.
AJ Styles is out here cutting a promo, and these fans didn't care at all. It was an excuse for a guy to tell AJ how much he and Gunner sucked, and everybody else in the crowd is looking at the funny guy.
Yes.
Nobody's paying attention to AJ. Nobody cares about this storyline.
No.
Nobody cares about this feud. This is AJ Styles, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
This was depressing.
And his longtime best friends. This should be a good storyline. They can't do it right. All right, so laying down the groundwork that no one cares about this and it's stupid and it sucks. Here, then, is what happened in this segment. AJ cut a promo. Daniels and Kazarian came out. Daniels said Kazarian did not owe AJ an explanation. AJ turned his back. Daniels ordered Kazarian to attack. Kazarian wouldn't do it. Daniels attacked. Daniels got beat up. Kaz went to shake AJ's hand. Daniels said no. Daniels wants Kazarian versus AJ at the pay-per-view.
Yes.
One segment. with 47 twists and turns. This blew.
This was not any good at all.
No redeeming qualities to this. We had the main event. It was James Storm.
Thank God we're almost done.
And Jeff Hardy versus Bully Ray and Bobby Roode. They fought a lot, which is funny because we saw the same four men fighting to open the show. Nothing had been accomplished. Bully Ray did the Moondog Moretti spit spot, where you spit in the air and then catch it in your mouth. Then he went to kick Storm.
It was funny as he did that last week too.
Yeah.
And they didn't get like a long shot where you could see the spit going up and down. They like got a close up of his face.
Yeah.
So he just spits and looks up for a long time. It's like, you fucking idiots.
Yeah. So he went to kick Storm, who was leaning against the table, and Storm dodged, and Ray's foot went through the table. Shouldn't that be a finish? It's whoever goes through a table
Someone
first
has
loses.
to be put through a table.
I see. Well, they put Roode through a table. Storm held his feet, and Jeff hit an elbow, or maybe vice versa. So the good guys won, and then Bully Ray beat them both up with a chair. That was Impact.
Well, no, then they put Jeff through a table with a Bubba bomb off the top rope through a table.
I did not write that down, but that happened. Shows you it's been an hour and 10 minutes since that happened, and I had forgotten until you mentioned it.
Jeff Hardy's in maybe the best shape of his career.
He was brawling with no shirt on at the beginning.
He actually looks like an athlete. He doesn't look like he's a juiced-up athlete. He just looks like an athlete. He's lean and he has muscular definition. I don't think I've ever seen Jeff Hardy look like that. So maybe he is all cleaned up. Good for him if that's the case.
Remember Don West's brown bag special? Mm-hmm. There's comments for this one, too. One reader has said, "You were going to call back and didn't. Please call me so I can place an order. My number is..."
God. I'm done, Vince.
This is TNA, everyone.
I'm finished, everybody. It has been a fun and exciting day